We are here with half of Flowidus, Branchy. He decided to have a child a long time ago, so he's going to pick her up.
Not a good idea.
No, well, yeah, not when you got podcasts to do.
Exactly.
So we went on a little bit of a career business journey, then a psychedelic journey, and then
bit of music chat. Bit of what else? Social commentary, maybe.
Yeah.
Social media. What else?
And if anyone's ever thought about like how to make an app or like how people make money from dope ideas, I didn't even know that Garo had this. So it's a cool little journey into that. And Jamal popped on for this one. Jamal, what did you input?
I just gave a ton of financial advice.
yeah.
So, and the Hard Yarns have got a Lucky Duck horse syndicate now. So you're involved in that.
You're horse enthusiasts.
Yeah, for the ketamine.
Ketamine cowboys.
So get involved. And thanks to all the Patreons, guys. We've got 22 of you now. So if you know anybody that would love the potty, send them to the Patreon, support the potty. If you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, jump on the Instagram, check out what the Patreon is, extra bonus episodes. And people came to Who's Rhyme, you get free little deals and gigs and tickets. All the good stuff. So let's enjoy and let's get hard.
Welcome to Hard Yarns Podcast.
I am fucking fat.
Anything Chris White says, please disregard it.
5D is actually a state of being. It's a unity consciousness.
That was Hard Yarns with me, Frankie Rose. So I'm going to throw it over to your co-host,
Daniel Jelby.
And Cameron Branch.
I would do this and then I'd gong.
Free in attendance for the millions listening at home. Let's get hard.
You probably could.
That's loud. I mean, that's fine. Is that okay?
Mine's a little bit louder than normal.
Yeah, I turned all the mics up a little bit.
Is that all right for you?
Sounds perfect for me, yeah.
Is it good for you?
All good there. And then Jamal, can we hear you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice.
Right.
Oh, you're muting you? Oh, I like that.
I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode. Max Shane just messaged, actually, but I'll go him after.
All right, cool.
Cool. We have to have a little chat about something that's just happened to us. So,
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Whatever, man.
so ready to go?
Yeah, we're recording. We're all... And we're live.
We are live.
We're live.
So
I feel very... what is it? What's
aerodynamic?
No. What's it?
Ergonomic?
Ergonomic. I feel ergonomic.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
good.
German word. That's why
Anyone's
Garo knows it.
Anyone who's been watching the stories would have seen that we've been out shopping
Mm.
and Delby, we put it all in Delby's fucking tiny hire car.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had to do 2 trips to get
Love
him
it.
back.
I
to
had
the
a
studio.
Picanto. I was borrowing a Kia Picanto because my old car's in getting its bumper done before I sell it. And they're giving me it's probably about the size of this table.
Oh, I found my first issue, Delby.
Well,
As I'd rotate, because I like to rotate a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, so we've
He's
got
a thinker.
There we go.
We got a little Picanto, and these came in big ass boxes.
Hanging out the sides.
So I had it in the boot, 2 in the back, 1 in the front, and I couldn't move the gear stick. And then the boot wasn't shut properly. I was like, "Fuck!" I look like Mr. Bean, or the guy from The Simpsons with the. This is the boy that likes to laugh at everybody. Are you laughing at the size of my automobile? So
That's exactly what it was like.
yeah, I dropped it back and got my car, and I made sure I transported all the shit in the hire car and fucked that up, so I didn't fuck up my car.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but we've got Garo here, which is half of Flowidus.
Yes, indeed.
And we were just talking before, you're born in Germany.
I was Germania.
Oh, you were born there?
Yeah, I'm German, half Italian, or efficiently stylish, as I like to call it.
Efficiently stylish or stylish?
Stylish, yeah. Well, depends what mood I'm in, right?
Let's hear about your journey from Go to Woe, man. So we were talking the other night at a reasonable hour.
Quite reasonable.
And we realised that he could be my brother. We've got a lot of people that
Oh,
confuse
yeah,
us.
of course, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant biologically.
No. Yeah, my dad used to fuck
Mr.
in
Delby.
Germany.
Half Italian.
Yeah, right.
One of his mates came up to me at Andy C and were like, "Oh, great show, you did great." And I thought she was talking about my hose rhyme, and I was like, thank you so much. You know? And then after she was
so
like,
good.
"I'm so sorry," at Max Shane's Saturday night. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were Garo, and I was saying, what a great set. You must have thought I was a tripper.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So you opened for Andy C, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually quite funny because what year are we now? Like 6 or 5 years ago, we released our first song on his record label, and then we got our first like gig as a kind of duo, so to speak, when he came over.
Yeah.
5 years ago. It's quite interesting, or 6 years ago. I can't remember.
Yeah, sick. So how do you go from how do you become a drum and bass DJ, bro? Because from what I'm aware, it all sounds pretty similar.
Yeah, I hear you. I get that. Yeah. And I totally understand why people don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, I was born into a fairly musical family. My mum was a singer in Germany, and my dad a singer in Italy, and they toured around Italy, and she had a golden record as well.
Like together?
Yeah, they were a couple, like mum and dad. Yeah,
like the original ABBA.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
If only. And so yeah, music was always a part of the family. And then when we moved here, I played drums, and funnily enough, my mum's drummer in his band was named Garo.
Yeah.
And she's like, I like that name.
Oh.
Finally, I look real
milkman, not the drummer.
Well, I look a lot like him. And she really liked the name. So then I was then called Garo, which is a blessing and a curse, because you just can't shit where you eat if you're called Garo.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And so I came here, did music, and then went to Whopper. Did jazz.
Did you really? I didn't know that. Yeah,
Jazz, yes.
So jazz drumming would be, but jazz is one of the hardest, I guess, genres to learn, because its timing, its signatures are all
everything.
It's all over the joint.
Jazz is awesome, and I did 6 hours a day, nothing but drums for 4 years, and lived in the happy corridors of Whopper.
Did you do? Because I'm a drummer as well.
Oh, sick.
Did you do I can't remember
the traditional grip?
Yep.
Oh, it's switched between depending on.
So you're good at traditional grip, but
I used to be able to play drums fairly well. Now my coordination's gone to the toilet.
Because for those who are listening and don't
what
realize,
a traditional
so
grip.
You would see two people, like normal drummers, like a Lars Ulrich, just
like
fucking
that,
holding like a
and then the other one.
Yeah, so it's almost like holding a pencil, isn't it? Yeah.
And
which one's traditional? Where you hold it like you are waving 2 sticks at an airport?
No, that's match. Grip.
Okay. And if you're
Traditional
holding
is the one with the left, like
shuckers,
this.
brah.
Yeah, bit of a drummer shuck.
Yeah, it's like, and you sort of like tap it on the side a bit more.
Yeah.
And
Why?
a bit more.
Do you hold one
It's
traditional
from
and one
old school
shuckers?
march drumming, like snare drum, line drumming.
Yeah. So my grandpa and my dad, they both drum like that.
Yeah.
And me and my brother are a bit more, but my brother can do the same.
Are you a fan of Drumline, the movie?
The movie, yeah, great.
I liked it, eh?
I love the
awesome.
drumming part of it.
Yeah.
The movie sucked
Who
ass.
is it? Was it Nick Cannon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of his few and only.
Yeah, only hits. Yeah.
Didn't he shack up with Mariah Carey after that?
Yeah, yeah. He's shacked up with many a women. He's got like 9 different kids to 9 different women, eh? Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, they're all named after the drummer.
But yeah, so you learn jazz.
Yeah, so I was big into jazz, and then in 2010, I went to New York, and I was like, the guy in the subway is the greatest drummer I've ever heard. If he's playing in the subway, what do I need to do to get out of the toilet? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So then I kind of had this realization. I was like, I don't want to live in a 2x4 room just playing drums all the time. And then the Whopper degree is good fun, but it's actually worth nothing, really.
Yeah. But it's hard to get into, hey?
Yeah, I mean, you audition, you got I guess there's some level of...
Yeah. Because it's highly competitive.
It is, yeah.
So-
But then that said, like, the people, when they get in aren't phenomenal. If they put the work in, they get there, but like... It's just like anything. I think it's got a great rep, and don't get me wrong, the teachers are phenomenal. Like,
it's
world
a load
class.
of fun. If you love it, like, it's same as
4
drama.
years just doing
Fucking
music,
fun, yeah.
and you live in this kind of bubble of like, this is life. This is
Yeah.
cool. Living at home, practicing.
Yeah.
Mum's cooking.
Yeah.
Come back, like practicing. Go back to uni. Practice till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You and Delby are definitely brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
He chose drums, I chose drama.
Yeah.
He's a drummer, I'm a drama.
And then I kind of, after Whopper, just thought, well, let's get a real backing or job. So I got a business degree, and then that's when I started falling in love with drum and bass as well. So I just kind of always loved the style of music. And then
What sort of bands got you into drum and bass?
Yeah.
I remember in year 12 or year 11 or year 12, my mate gave me a sorry, Paul, if you're listening from Pendulum, a burnt copy of Hold Your Colour.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh man, I think you like this. And I remember I listened to it, and it's one of those moments where I vividly remember going, what the hell is this music?
Yeah.
I need more of it.
Wow.
And it was just crazy. And then went to like the Pendulum All Ages gig, and I was just like, just looking around, what is this music? And then got sucked in after that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Pendulum was probably my.
I think they were
Toe
our
dip
generations.
into it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone's toe dip, and then I just decided to dive head first.
Yeah, mine was a toe dip.
Yeah.
That was it. And I was like, okay, that's enough.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said your mum had a golden record?
Yeah, she like had. So if you want to have a laugh, you can. I think it's still on there on YouTube. She was a jazz singer as well, but then she made her money and like her living in touring around the high-end hotels in Europe, like as the band for the month kind of thing, and they would just play like standards and stuff like that. And she made she wrote a song in like the Italian pop charts, which is golden. It sold like 500,000 copies.
It is golden.
Yeah, it's very quite literally, which is cool.
Sick. What was it called? Like,
I think it's called Dee Anderson. That was her like stage name, and it's like I'm a Lover.
Ah, nice.
And it's
You're
mad.
Sauna
I'll send you the if I can find the video clip. It's brilliant.
Sick. Speaking of sending music, we need any listeners.
Oh yeah.
Everything we're putting on YouTube is getting flagged for copyright, even though we're using intro.
Yeah, we've got a license to it through Epidemic Sound, but for whatever reason, it's such a hassle. So we do want listeners to create an intro. Like we'll run a competition.
Or Flowidus can do it.
Yeah.
For us.
Jamal, our new producer.
Yeah.
Did we tell everyone that we got another new producer?
Nah.
So we got Jamal as well.
Woo.
Hello.
Young Jamal.
Like young Jamal, we had to give text to those punk ass bitches over at our Net podcast because they do the weekends. But we got Jamal, but he could probably help us put together
Yeah. So if anyone listening wants to give us some music for the intros, that'd be dope.
that'd be good. Yeah, we'll run a competition or something like that. Intros. Yeah.
Can be in Italian, English, whatever.
Nice.
So what was your dad? Was he an opera singer in Italy?
No,
or
he was like a crooner. He actually he sounded. So the reason why I moved over here with Mum is because my dad died when I was 1. He was the singer with Mum, and my mum met my dad now, who's also German. But my biological father, he actually genuinely sounded like Frank Sinatra. He had a killer voice.
Yeah.
And he's just like this Italian crooner cat.
Sick.
Funny ass.
Has any of that...
Definitely not.
No?
No.
It skips a generation? Is that what it's meant to?
Yeah, and definitely not rubbed off on my girlfriend too. She sounds like a dying cat.
Shout out to Kate.
Yeah, and she knows it too.
Speaking of dying cats, you just dropped off the cat.
I had to...
No more pissy for you.
Oh, yeah. Just came from the vet because I had to drop off one of our cats who is just so fluffy that he just shits himself constantly. It's just too mad. Yeah, it gets stuck in his fur. And you don't notice because he's so fluffy. So I came home today after a meeting. I was like, the house smells.
Oh, yeah.
Why does it smell? I know the smell.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
And I couldn't see it. And I didn't think to to have a check. And then just before I went to go to the vet, I pulled up his tail and I'm like, fuck me dead. There it is.
Fuck, hey, cat
Oh,
shit.
mate.
I've got 2 at home, and
It's mad.
soon to be none.
Yeah,
they're fucked at the moment. Poor Delby sat on one of my couches in the office the other day, and he was like,
piss or
it smells like piss here.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah, they
where?
never
And I
piss.
couldn't smell it, and I got closer and closer and closer, and it must have like got right up on one of the cushions because it
I think it was just him when he was
acrid
mad.
as.
Yeah,
It's acrid as.
Yeah.
just passed out on the couch drunk one night.
Not good. So can you get a spare, what are you trying to do? Get a ketamine prescription from the vet
That
or
would be
what's
good,
going on?
He's really distressed. He needs something to calm down.
Yeah.
Maybe some ketamine,
Maybe some
perhaps?
ketamine.
Yeah. Why not?
Oh.
That'd be good.
But,
K-hole.
I mean, with the pot, we'll go all different directions, but the main one that we always get to, and Garo's got some crazy stories later, but we always go, you're doing what you love. You kind of are starting to make pretty good coin from our convo the other night. How did you start to go, right, I'm going to do this, then transition into that space and then start being good enough where people will pay you? Because music is notorious for being underpaid, undervalued, and always being ripped
like
off.
all the arts.
Yeah.
It's scary taking a risk as well. Like, I guess, is it a little easier because music is generally out of hours?
No, well, so I approached this probably very German and went, okay, well,
I'm just gonna invade.
yeah,
Take over the scene.
I'm not gonna
kill
go
all
in
the-
there because I'll start getting out of hand.
Kill all the black and Jewish fucking
Yeah.
DJs.
Yeah, exactly. Just clean them
Fucking
out.
nine.
You nine. No, none of that. After uni, I always loved. I figured, like, how do I make money while doing music on the side? Because if you do music on the side for the first 10 years, you're just unemployed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, people, and I think it's stupid when people go, oh, I'm doing music full time. I'm like, cuz you do like 3 gigs a year. Like, you're just unemployed and creating unnecessary stress. It's not a good idea. Yeah. Especially in Perth. Like in London, sure, you could do that because you can gig 4 times a week. No dramas. But, so I got a job in advertising and then I did that for 9 months and then I just realized I could do it all myself.
Yeah, nice.
So then in those between then and now, I think it's 5 years, I've built up my own online digital marketing company. So I work from a laptop by day and I produce music from a laptop.
Perfect.
So I don't have
Very
to.
similar. We're very
it's,
similar.
It's literally just Control Alt Move, change to the next user.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's allowed us, me, and Raf's the same, the other half. He works for himself. He's a Sparky and has 2 businesses with his partner. It allows us to do whatever the hell we want to do.
Yeah.
So when I started my own thing, I was like, within the 2 months, I was hooked. I was like, holy shit, I need this to work because I can never work for someone else ever again.
Sick,
But that was before we were making money off music.
Yeah.
But it was always a very serious, side thing. So,
But that's still our thing, is turning a side hustle into full time.
and that's exactly it. So we do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
If tomorrow music's not fun, I'll quit.
Yeah.
That's why I'll never, even if we're, selling out Glastonbury, which is not going to happen anytime soon, if ever, I won't ever quit doing my business stuff because I've got a lot of stuff going on there, which I love equally as music, and it keeps life really fucking interesting.
Yeah. Sick.
Well, you've always got that option to almost be a digital nomad.
Well, that's, pretty much. Yeah. So I just came back from Europe for a month.
Yeah.
Work goes on, and I've structured it in a way where I do things that is automated for me. Clients get new business, their phone rings, everyone's happy. So this has all kind of happened in the last year, this real sort of
Automation.
Thanking you.
I need to talk to you about that after the show 'cause I'm under the fucking pump. Yeah.
And because I always thought, music's great and music's a lot of fun when you're not relying on it.
Yeah.
And now we always did it, and it started going in the right direction, so we kept going.
Yeah.
And it's fun, and that's the whole thing. It's not, it allows us to, back in the day, it started with gigs in New Zealand, and then we do some more gigs, bigger gigs, and then we got signed to our label, which then we started doing some shows before Corona in UK and stuff like that. And this is fun, and it's paid for us to go over there, and we live for free. Technically, it's not our money, and we just have a fucking great time.
Yeah.
We just use our, we call it the Flowidus card, and it's attached to our Kiwi bank account, and we just and it's amazing that feeling of well, it's not my money, it's no one's really, so we're just gonna $400 for lunch.
Is it the
sounds
label?
good.
The label's money.
No, it's our money.
Oh,
But we don't live off.
So it's
it.
your play money.
Yeah, it's our play money.
Yeah.
It's an amazing. We just kind of happen, and Raph and I think the same way. So it's awesome. It allows
so
for all these
lucky.
cool experiences, right?
Yeah. Because if he was tight, he'd be like, you
Yeah,
can't spend this fucking. This is for the band.
And no, exactly. And that's what people don't realize, that if you're surviving, and one of us, like say Flowidus was one person, we would actually make pretty decent, pretty good money for one person. But it's you might make, I don't know, 20 grand 1 month. You might make nothing for 3 months.
Yeah.
So then you're like, oh shit, you got to stretch it. So it's still not oh cool, every week it's this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that comes with that pressure. So we've now, we've over just thinking about it, we just kind of eliminated that stress, and you just go, well, we both love what we're doing from a business side. We both have finessed it in a way where we can keep doing that. And like today or yesterday, I worked for 3 hours and then I just switched over to my other music user and then did music for 3 hours.
That's so cool.
And
So
it's
really,
just-
like the message behind that is, if you love your side hustle, but you're not going to live off it, make sure you set yourself up so you can do both.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I
Don't just quit everything and go.
No, obviously, like, it just creates a lot of hassle, and a lot of, and some people, you see some people in the music, in our scene that have been doing it for, 10 years or whatever, and it's not, they're doing it because they love it, but they kind of wish it would be more, or they've stopped working for a while, and you're like, why stop working? It's not just because you do it full time, doesn't make you any different to someone who does it
Part-time and gets the
8
same
hours
gigs.
a week.
Yeah.
Or 4 hours a week. It you know what I mean? It's kind of, I just feel like people are creating extra stresses.
If you're relying on it
Yeah.
100%, and if it's not going as well.
No. And
Yeah.
and to be honest, it's one of those funny things, like we might make a tune. We might think, oh, this is sick.
Yeah.
Put it out there and it just is a pile of dicks.
Yeah, it's like stand up.
You're not in control of your own, like if people like your music.
Yeah.
So, and I actually think that's what some of the best advice you can give is, and trying to not be 100% the product.
No, just do.
Because if you are the whole thing, like I've been talking about with my business, I'm the face, I'm the editor, the filmer, I'm doing everything. I'm fucked. I haven't set it up for other people to be able to help me, and it'll actually kill your passion for what you're doing.
And it starts to burn out real.
Yeah.
And I'm, like now that I've structured my other business in a way where it's, I've got more recurring
How did you
revenue.
automate it? Did you get other people to work for you, or you offloading?
No,
it,
I
or
just
you
upskilled and I don't know if
better
anyone.
programs.
No, I offer services called Google AdWords.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I get my clients' phones to ring. They get new clients.
Yeah.
Their business is growing. They pay me
Yeah.
$400 to $600 a month.
Yeah.
And if you extrapolate that over the number of clients,
Yeah.
but once you've set it up, it's somewhat automated
Yeah.
in the sense, right?
Yeah.
But and it's a win-win. They get new clients, you're winning, and it's all good, right?
Yeah.
And
Maybe do it for the hard yarns.
Yeah.
yeah, and and it's kind of that's the main thing that's allowed me to go, okay, well, I don't have to worry, because I remember last time when I went to UK 2 years ago, it wasn't like that. So I was like, shit, I need to do like 5 hours of work today, or like do this or do that.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just, I fell into it, and like we were saying on the weekend, there was a few moments in my life that I can trace back to
Yeah. Let's hit it.
that have caused my life to be quite fun.
Yeah. I told him,
And-
I go, stop. Tell me on the potty. So I was like, I don't want to hear this in the kitchen.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can actually, and it comes from, because I personally don't believe in failure.
Yeah.
I just think of just doing shit.
Yeah.
And it either works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, you figured out why it doesn't work.
Let it go again. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
Or just, you don't want to do it.
Yeah, or you're like, oh, that was shit. I hated everything about it. I'm not going to do that.
That's
Like-
why I've stopped having sex after the first time.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
So, and it actually started with Raf and I. So Raf had the idea of like, hey, let's start a clothing brand in 2016. And I was just working at an agency at the time. And I was like, yes, sweet. So I just said yes. And we're like, okay, cool. How do we make that happen? Buy a shitload of T-shirts or find garment makers, put some logos on it. And we created this brand or whatever, like a logo on a shirt. Like, let's not hump it up too much. And
What was it called?
It was called Merca. So they came up with a name, and I kind of joined straight after. And I was like, yeah, sweet, whatevs. And then we came up with ideas of how we're going to, get it out there, blah, blah, blah. And it tanked out the ass, like just nothing.
How
Like,
many
it was-
shirts did you buy?
Oh, we probably spent all up like $5,000 between three of us, and we had like probably 200-300 shirts.
Yeah.
But it just didn't go anywhere. And but through that, I built the website for that business, and then I realized I was like, oh, I could build a website.
Yeah.
And then at the time, I quit. My agency job was kind of slowing down, and then I was like, well, stuff this. I just did it for us.
Yeah.
Why not just do it for other people?
Yeah.
And then, so that was that first move to my own job.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like I said, within the first 2 months, I was hooked. I was like, I can't work for anyone ever again. This is fucked. And it stressed me out because I was like, I need to make this work.
How did you find being disciplined?
I'm insanely disciplined. So I work from home.
He's German, bro.
And, but I'm also like, I love to work. So I could work all day, every day, Saturday to Sunday. Like I just...
That's the Italian.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like work for me because I
Yes.
can see the progression and I just do it because I love doing it. So I'm a bit weird like that. But you know, I work at home in the studio with 2 monitors. When I'm doing stuff, I'm watching like shows and stuff, and I'm just super productive.
Yes.
So I'm blessed like that. I'm super lucky because I know I could totally imagine you're like, well, why work when you can play Xbox?
Yeah. I definitely get sucked into not that, but more. I'll just go for a run.
Yeah.
I think
I'll do
it's
that sort of
I think it's
stuff.
more creative though, because I'm with you. When you can create,
I think,
and like the arts, you're like, let's do this. I'm the same.
Yeah.
Get sucked in, but the problem is my ADHD. I'll do like half an hour on Who's Rum, half an hour on Celebrancy, then I'll change to fucking making t-shirts. Like I was like, we should do t-shirts.
Yeah.
Legit, same shit.
Yeah. And because my job is creative as well and strategic and stuff like that, it's a similar probably brain that I use.
Yeah.
And so from that I then started my own thing, and then I was working for a couple of months on my own thing, and then one of my old family friends needed like a logo and a website, and I did his stuff, and then he told me to meet someone named Harrison who started a company then called Refresh Mobile Car Detailing.
I used them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and then
to detail my car before I sell it.
Yeah, so him and I became mates, and then I was like, fuck, this cat switched on.
Yeah.
I invested in his company. We became business partners, and from that meeting,
So do you own part of Refresh?
yes, and then
sick.
we,
I just gave you some money.
and then now we started 2-3 years ago. We created a software company that's based in Austin, Texas. That is a cloud-based solution for mobile services and councils to automate service calls and dispatches.
Right, do that in English because it sounds interesting as fuck.
But and all through that, and that's going real well. It's just right now we're just in a bit of a raising stage, and never did I thought 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I'm like, oh, you're going to be a co-founder of a tech business that actually has clients all over the world.
That's sick.
I'm like, how did I get here? Oh yeah, Merca.
Yeah, right.
Because if I said nah, fuck your clothing, I'll stick to live or like whatever.
100%. That's
Like literally, I figured it out like a few years ago, and I always wanted to remember it because I was like, this is literally, it all came down through Merca, and all my business, where my business is now, and where we are now
that you've taken
with the other company. It literally exists because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
It come from a complete and utter shit show failure that did nothing.
well, I've said to Del, and I brought it up again today. Like the path into me becoming a filmmaker was trying to do fucking travel videos. They're so shit, but I realized how much I liked making the videos, and then that was my path into that. So although it's not regrettable, I still had fun traveling and making videos.
Sure,
but,
there's worse ways
but
to spend your time.
It's I'll share them on our Patreon. They're a little embarrassing, some, but they it was the pathway to get to it. So you don't look at anything, even bad things that have happened over the last year or so have provided opportunities for me to do things, more efficiently. So
I'm a big subscriber to that. From when I first went, the book that changed my life was called Journey of Soul. Sound like such a wanker saying that, but it's like it helped me refresh.
Oh yeah, was it Eckhart Tolle? Who was it?
No, it was just this dude. I can't remember, Michael something or other.
Yeah.
Journey of Souls. It's about the afterlife and psychic meaning, but what happens when you die in the soul. But it was more like helped me reframe anything that was fucked up that happened to me in my life. If I dwelled on that negativity and how bad it was, and I never got past it, or if I'm in that moment feeling like it's the worst ever, when that thing happens to you, a path will be set where something will come from it, whether it's another good thing or another bad thing that goes.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're like, oh, fuck, my t-shirt business failed. But if it hadn't have failed, you wouldn't have just launched a tech company.
And then even from that, like, if through our tech company, I figured out how to do this new service that I provide for my other business or for my other clients. And even if the tech company goes down the gurgler, I've learned how to, scale my business to 200, 300, 400 grand a year.
Yeah.
Automated because of that.
That's
so
sick.
my fairly sizable time and money investment into that tech company could all go down the gurgler. But then I'm like, well, I just learned how to do all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's paid for itself.
That's,
So I just struggle to feel failure.
Yeah.
It would piss me off if we didn't get there.
Yeah.
but
Because
there'd be
it's
a
just
learning,
like,
there'd be learning from that.
but 100% there's always learning.
Yeah.
But,
Well, it's like the pod. If where you go ass up, if this doesn't go anywhere in the next year, 2 years, whatever,
3 days.
who gives a fuck? Like, it's so fun.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And that's,
we've met cool people. Like,
And
you
it's
know.
also like that's the actual entire basis of karma. Karma isn't that whole like the whole I guess the generalized feeling
yeah.
about it is that karma is what the bad thing that's going to happen to you as a result. Karma isn't that. Karma is really what goes around comes around, but for everything. So the good things that come from things from that meeting you had with that person 5 years ago having a beer and you were kind to them. That's still karma that they go, oh, yeah, I remember you. We had a good time. Oh, yeah, I'll get you Delby on tonight for this show at Sydney. You know, like something like that is that's karma just as much as it comes around in the bad way as well.
I'm interested in this tech thing. Explain that a bit more.
Yeah.
I was going to talk to you about music, but this has piqued my interest.
So Harry built the platform for Refresh.
Yeah.
Right, that system you use.
This episode is brought to you by Reed.
Yeah.
Actually, we're looking for sponsors. That's something
Well,
I
we're
can
looking
vouch
for
for.
investors if anyone wants to. But,
So are we.
Yeah.
If you find any, let's do a group.
Exactly. And so we automated that business completely.
Yeah.
And then,
But what does it
Harry
do?
did.
Or is this? Can
So-
you not say because it hasn't been
No, it's released.
Yeah.
So all it is, it's a cloud-based platform. So you sign up to it, and you set up your business on there from bookings, invoicing, schedulings. It automates your dispatches. Your workers have their own app, and they can see what jobs they've come in, what are coming in, what they have to do. The jobs come in automatically through a booking platform. So
this is Refresh, hey?
This is Field. This is
the
a
new
company.
one, yeah.
Refresh uses the
Same
platform
thing,
that is
yes.
Field.
Yeah.
And like if you're let's say Delby's Lawns, right? And you have a website, it's delbyslawns.com.
Lawnporn.com.
Lawn porn, that's it.
Yeah.
You use Field and you set up your account, and you link it into your website. We can build your own Uber-like app in 14 days. Only platform in the world that can do that.
Who does that? The app does it, or it would designate it out to people that build it for you?
No, we have our own app development team
Sick.
in-house, and we've built it in a way that's quite nifty, so we can create these apps
Love this.
in 2 weeks for them, and they save time, money, get more jobs done, automate completely like the service calls, invoicing, customer service.
Fucking Buddha was literally talking about this in Up and Joke. We've already got a client for you.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
and that's been a hell of a learning curve, like I've been on the raising money run the last 6-7 months, and I never thought that I'd ever need to raise or know how to do it, and you just kind of go, let's just do it. And
How
you
does
just,
it work? Tell me, because I'm fucking so interested in this. And
It's a lot of
This
it's
could
just
be what the
networking.
podcast does.
Yeah.
It's just like I met people, became mates with them. I've got a great friendship circle who are also invested in the company now that are all really up there in business, very switched on, that believe in the product.
Yeah.
And then there's also the people that I met through business networking. So my whole business is built on business networking. I'm just a networking slut. Like I just network with everyone.
You and Buddha will get along very well.
And I always have this idea of you never know where a conversation will go.
Yeah.
Because of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, you know him, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I've managed to raise some cash for it. And, it's been like, it's very stressful. Like you've always got this kind of like, is it going to get over the hump?
Because if it doesn't, everyone loses money.
Yeah, a lot of my close mates lose quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
But it's kind of beyond, we have paying customers now. We just need to get a little bit more, and then it's sweet.
Is it, do you have to do the negotiations? Like, how are you going to get X amount of %, or are they going in for profit, or?
No, it's all based on valuation. So like we're doing a raise now for 15 million, which was like,
Jesus,
so
that's so much money.
1.5, no, that's a valuation. So 1.5 is what we're trying to raise at 10%, which makes the company worth 15 million on paper.
Yeah.
We don't have that in the bank. I repeat, don't have that. this is all the world that we kind of, we learned how to. We use the analogy. We built this thing, and then you learn how to drive in an F1 car.
Yeah.
So we had to figure out, okay, how the hell do we sell software?
Yeah.
We became like these software cowboys.
Yeah.
That, Harry is such a madman. He's been working like 95 hours a week for the last 2 years, sorry.
Yeah.
He was on the last plane out of Melbourne through COVID to Vancouver because he's half
I
Canadian.
think that's part 2 though. Last plane out of Sydney.
Yeah, last train to
train
Freo.
out, so-
Last
so-
train to Freo.
Yeah.
And then from there, he, he's like, stuff this, got his visa to America, set up an office in Austin, and I've never met someone who's so savagely determined. He taught himself how to code in like 6 weeks. He's a freak.
Wow.
And looking back 3 years ago to where it is now, it's pretty crazy what's happened.
Yeah.
And, again, you just kind of, back in the day, we go, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then we kind of have these like hopes
yes,
and
man.
dreams. Yeah, it's just literally just like yes.
Yeah.
And then, but we also had like market validation from Refresh.
Yeah.
Did you say you met him in Austin?
No, I met him in Perth.
Okay.
He
He's
moved to Austin
Okay, because
from
of
Vancouver
because
to Austin.
of the
Company.
tech
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
that's going on there.
Yeah, because he was in Vancouver, set up the team there. We got it up to a team of 10, and then we had to get rid of some, and they didn't want to move to Austin. So he's like, stuff this, because he couldn't hack it in Canada anymore because they went quite savage during Corona, and he's like, people have just lost their minds, and he couldn't hack it. So he's like, we got to go to America, because if you're in America, you're in it. Like you are just in it. Austin is a new tech hub, moved over there, and ever since then, now we're speaking to the city of Austin to automate their whole, 300,000 service calls through like a QR code that links into the system. So we're doing all this cool shit, which it's all because he was like, I'm going to take the risk. The amount of risks and shit eating he and the team has had to endure is mad. Like,
do you get to do South by Southwest Festival with that being in Austin?
Not sure.
'Cause it's a big-
that's a
obviously-
big. I remember that one.
Because obviously the music is big there.
That
but
would
the
be-
I think the
yeah.
7 days prior is sort of all tech.
It's all tech and
Is
Austin's
drum
a
and bass
huge
a
hub.
thing in the South
Definitely
by
not.
Southwest?
South by Southwest though is everything.
Yeah, it is.
So like the music side, you'll go there one day. I remember going to a gig. I went to South by. It's 7 days. The whole of Austin just shuts down. Or actually 14, 15 because they do the tech prior. But like you'll go and you'll see I remember I think it was Macklemore played, and then the next gig was like Prince or something like just rocked up.
It's
It
just
was like
all
and then you'll go to a pub and then there'll be like Foo Fighters playing on a stage in front of 50 people. And you're like, this is fucking insane. I remember watching Flume in front of 7 people in a pub at 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning. It's just ridiculous.
Before he was Flume, or like he's still cranking.
But not big in America.
Oh yeah.
I went to Brooklyn and seen him. It was fucking huge. But whatever it was in Austin that day, 7 o'clock. Sorry, 11 o'clock in the morning at on 6th Street.
Yeah.
No one.
Fuck, man. How do you find it? Because I'm nowhere near like that much pressure and intensity. But like, say me and Mac Shane got Who's Rhyme. Me and Cam McLaren do Confessional. Me and Branchy do the potty. How do you go with your time being between you and Raph, you and Harrison, you and whoever? Because I find that to be the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
Where everyone wants to. I love it. Like, if you want to do stuff with me, please ask, because I'm old and lonely, and everyone's married with kids. So I love being invited to anything, guys. Anything, right? But like, everyone will want to do stuff with me, and I've only got X amount of hours, especially Fringe. People are like, oh, we should do a Fringe show. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to, but I've got fucking 5 shows back to back, and I don't know where I'm going to get the time. How do you go with your time and dedication to each other?
Well, I think I learned the time stuff from when I was working at agencies, because you had to like bounce between different clients pretty quickly and like do this for half an hour, do that for half an hour. And I realized I call it context shifting. If you're not context shifting, people can actually do quite a lot of things if they put their mind to it. And by context shifting, I mean, if I'm working on a thing for my business, a thing for Field, the tech company, or like my business with 3 clients, so it has a bunch of stuff, I can just switch between browsers and do all that stuff because it's the same context. Or writing emails, it's the same context. I remember last year for Refresh, we lost our manager. We had to get rid of him. And
You're like lost, actually.
yeah,
We fucked him off.
and
We
then
refreshed our manager.
exactly, and then I was stuck with doing customer service.
Oh yeah, that's the
For like-
dream, baby.
for like 2 weeks. And that's when I realized, I was like, holy shit, I cannot cope with this because the context is completely different.
Yeah.
And it just like absolutely fucked me.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I kind of got into like, let's see how much I can actually take on. And that's when I was working more hands-on with the Field, the company, doing all this other stuff, raising money, doing all this, doing my business, running this, doing meetings. And it's all the same context, so I kind of dug it. As soon as the context shift changed, whatever that may be for you.
What about you and Raph?
Well,
Like
that's
drum and
different.
bass,
Yeah,
different
so
context.
music for me is always different.
Yeah.
It's always, I do music and I don't think of anything else.
Yeah, okay.
It's like
Do you
if I-
have? Is it more out of hours though? Does that?
Oh, well, I mean, we both work for ourselves, so we can just be like, oh, I've got half an hour free, going to quickly do some stuff, work
Yeah.
on some bass lines or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we bounce between, stuff like that. But then when we were here in UK together last, because obviously he lives in NZ, so we just send shit back and forth.
We're going to hit on that in a sec. Yeah.
And when we were in the UK, we both just lived like full-time music producers. So our label, this is fucking brilliant actually. Our label hired this kick-ass house, like mansion in Bristol.
It's so good, man. You should
It's
see the
mental.
video.
And there was like 10 music producers there,
Yeah.
all drum bass guys. So I think it was like 8 or 10. There's 3 singers. They were absolutely insane. And we worked from Tuesday to Friday, like in 3-hour stints. So it's like you guys together. So we set up 2 little makeshift studios, and it was just like bang, bang,
It was
bang,
like
bang,
Big
bang,
Brother
bang, bang, bang,
for
music.
That
Yeah,
seems so cool.
it
Oh,
was,
you should see the
it was
videos.
actually I've probably been doing music for I don't know 15 years. It was by far the best music experience I've ever had. Everyone became like this big happy family. Everyone was writing tunes, and then at the end of it, we all listened to the songs. It was like 19 song ideas created, and it was just sick. Like it was so much fun.
And who pays for that? You had label.
The label did, yeah.
Flies everyone to London.
Yeah, they actually paid for our flights too this time. It was cool.
Unreal.
Wow.
And it was amazing.
Who pays for the bender?
That's everyone. It's funny because you're like, because you're all music people. Everyone's just like tapped and loose.
Yeah.
So like, you kind of get there, feel people out. You're like, oh, I wonder if they're, and then like within 20 minutes, you're like, oh yeah,
They're already on it.
yeah. It's so funny. You're like, yes, we're all cut from the same cooked cloth.
Yeah. Cool.
Which is great. But then, and then we did gigs around UK, and we were staying in Brighton because our label, Shogun and Elevate Audio, are in Brighton. They built a studio, and then we were just there for like 5 days straight in the studio for like 10 to 16 hours.
That's sick.
Where I could never do that at home on my own.
Yeah.
Just like,
Because
I'd
as
lose my mind.
Flowidus, half of you live in New Zealand, so Raf's New Zealand.
Yeah.
You're here. I was like, how the fuck do you collab and make a song together when you're not in the same room? Like,
well, he would just send over idea. Like, let's say he goes, I got this idea. I'm like, oh, that's sick.
he just goes, add bass to drum.
Yeah,
Here's the idea.
Add some drum to the bass, yeah. And then he
is
would
the
send
idea
it
like
over.
this is what the song's about, or he sends you like some samples.
No,
and
he
shit?
sends like, we use Logic Pro, the program.
Yep.
We have pretty much the same computer, same plugin. So he just sends over the whole entire project file. I can then open it up and then go from there.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's, and sometimes he would do a song. I'm like, oh, this is sick. Like we don't.
I don't really
It's
need
fit,
to do
like,
anything. Yeah.
And then vice versa. But
Is there
then-
any times where you're like, what the is he on shrooms?
Yeah. We know. I mean, I had this funny, like last year, I think it was last year or earlier the year before, I had the most disregard to any sort of sonic acoustics in my room. It was actually laughable. Like my room was, I thought, treated, but it just sounded like shit.
Okay.
So like you'd be working, and what would happen is there would be it's called like a mid-range bounce back, because if your speakers are too close to the wall and the wall's not treated, the mid-range, so from like, let's say 150 hertz to like 400 would bounce back, and you'd be like, oh, sounds fat, but it's actually not in there. So you're
I've
not.
wondered why that happens. Sometimes I'm listening to something like, that sounds sick, and then I listen to somewhere else and I'm like,
So it's
the
all,
fuck was I listening to?
Yeah, so it's all like acoustic treatment and stuff. And I completely disregarded that. And I remember Raph, so when I think we were in Europe, he's like, man, I remember you sent me stuff. And I was like, what the fuck is he hearing? I just completely disregarded that. And then over the last year, we kind of for drum and bass, it's such a engineering heavy genre. Like it's very, very complex. And we kind of left that very late.
Yeah.
And now we finally go, okay, let's not fuck about and let's probably dive deep. And it's made it so much more enjoyable because we know how to do things now.
Yeah.
Before we were just writing music and kind of hoping that it would get there because we have pretty good ears, but our engineering ability didn't catch up.
Yeah,
And
right.
now it's caught up and it's made it a lot more fun.
So in terms of engineering, you're talking about like the music
Mix
you add
downs.
in, the instruments, the mix of the...
Making that the music you have sound good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I do recall I recorded an album, like an indie rock album, and we recorded it. It sounded cool. I thought it was good, and then we gave it to a masterer, I guess.
Mastering engineer,
and
Which
they
is
brought it.
wh-
Just everything sounded so much more full, and it joined, and everything worked.
Yeah.
I had no idea what the fuck they did.
Yeah, it's a whole different kettle of fish. And I remember it was so frustrating the last... I've got... Raph and I both got a real, like, kick on with music again this year. Like, we've just fallen way back in love with it because the last year we were probably both a bit more focused on our businesses and we were kind of a bit frustrated with how...
Or less gigs as well.
Well,
The year before.
funnily enough, COVID was really good for us
Why?
because he's in New Zealand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they only had a lockdown for a month or whatever. Gigs were back on.
Mm-hmm.
So our profile started doing this. So let's say this
People
is...
listening, it's going up.
Yeah, that's going up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going up. And then that's 2019. So 2020 hit. Obviously, the arse fell out of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of thought that the New Zealand scene was a bit of a bubble because it's mental. Like it's so sick.
Because you've done tours to like, the videos I've seen is insane.
Yeah,
So
it's
think of
Kiwi-
like Coachella, like big crowds,
Yeah.
massive,
Kiwis
like
love their
20,000
drum
people.
beats. I think the biggest we've done is probably about 8,000.
Yeah, and you're headlining.
Well,
As
yeah,
Flowidus?
with Flowidus in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so we thought, okay, the arse fell out of it. And then we released, which happens to be now our biggest song. And then a month later, it kicked off again in New Zealand and everyone was pumping for gigs or 6 weeks, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so Raph was just worked like a dog.
Yeah.
He was just like the money earner.
Yeah.
And because our manager, Jeff, who runs Inhibit,
Yeah, shout out, Jeff.
shout out Jeff, we were like his job keeper because he got shafted by JobKeeper because he was, self-employed and blah, blah, blah. Arts industry got bent over a barrel
I
anyway.
completely understand.
Yep, you guys know.
Empathise.
So it was just mental. Like it was actually really good for us in terms of gigs, financially, blah, blah, blah. And then,
So was he going around on his own without you?
so thankfully, because we DJ out, if there's both of us, it's cool. If it's one of us, it's also fine. It's
Yeah.
kind of just how this scene or
Yeah.
Yeah.
DJing kind of, people don't really care because at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of twats behind some decks lifting
Yeah.
arms and going, yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But
So
it's
are
the-
you
it's-
doing much on the decks? Or because you've
with
already
drum
mastered a mix?
No, with drum and bass, you actually do a shitload.
Yeah,
You use
okay.
like 4 decks and you're playing like 40 tunes in an hour. You're like, it's actually a DJing art form in that sense. Like with house, you just let tunes play for like 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas drum and bass, you're like constantly flying stuff in left, right, which makes it really fun.
That's what Paul was saying as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About like he doesn't do that.
Yeah,
He
Al
does
Hornet.
it. He does it right.
No, he
Al
goes,
Hornet,
and it's a shitload of fun. Like it's not a higher art form. Don't get me wrong.
Do you, is it like a rehearsed routine? Like
No.
I've got my jokes and I know my punchlines here, but sometimes I'll riff.
You go like from chunks. Like you have
Yeah.
these, and then you might go, oh, actually this part's here. I'm gonna flick
So you're
that
doing
in.
that on the fly.
Yeah, so when we first started, we were like, oh, maybe we should like plan sets and like do all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it was just jagged and shitty and like, ugh. And me coming, and then we were still kind of learning out how to, as easy, or as not easy, as simple of an art form DJing is, it still took a while to kind of really get it cranking in a
Yeah.
sense. And then when we do gigs, we think of, okay, I've got my first 3 or 4 tunes, sweet, and then I've got about 200 tunes on my USB that are all in key and I know that I'm going to do these ones. Oh yeah, what about this? And then actually this one's got me vibing on this.
Yeah.
And then it's just constant. Like I know people that do their whole sets from go to woe. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck's the
That's
point?
exactly what Al Hornet said. He
Like
would just judge
what
it as
is the fucking point? It
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
be so boring.
Yeah.
Maybe that's from my jazz
But
background
how
because
do you,
like
how
Yeah.
can you like do it when you don't know what the vibe of the room
yeah,
is?
and you're like, and
Jazz background.
And what
jazz
is
hands.
what is
Yeah.
syncing?
No,
Because
that's right.
Syncing, yeah.
that's what Al Hornet was saying the other day. He was saying something about syncing. I didn't know what the fuck he
So
was talking about.
nowadays
cheating.
with CDJs, there's a program called Record Box, and you put in all dance music has a certain BPM. So
Yep.
drum and bass, 172 to 176, mainly 174, right? House is whatever, 124 to 128, blah blah blah. Dubsteps, I think 140 or whatever it is, right? And because it's all to a grid, right? It's all in time, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can sync in Record Box. You line your songs up to a grid, and then you go, okay, cool. And then when you play, there's this button on the turntables that says sync, which makes every single song link to that grid. Which
Is that cheating?
well, there's two schools. I don't do it because I've done it accidentally once and I had no idea what the fuck's going on. And you're like, holy fuck, what's going on? And
Yeah, okay.
you have this irrational it's so funny. I remember we're at a gig and I was like, oh my God, I can't hear anything. What the fuck?
You don't want
And
to
I was
kill
like,
everyone's vibe. Everyone's fucking.
and I was like, oh, I can only hear in one ear. And like, there was a guy, yes, sir. He's in the scene. He was like working backstage. And I was like, man, I can only hear in one ear, like freaking out. And he's just like,
Just press the button.
just like clicked it to stereo. I was like, oh yeah, of course. Because your brain just goes into this panic mode and you don't see anything. Like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
But it's always just something simple. And that's what happened with sync. And I was just like, what the fuck? And so there's two schools. There's the people that love to DJ and, and do it. And to be honest, if your mix is slightly thick, like it's not 100 bang on, like no one's really going to notice.
Yeah.
As long as you're not fucking clanging out left, right, and center, which you won't really do anyway, because I mean it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Sure, everyone's done it when they've grown up, building up to it. But then some producers just, because they are producers first, and then they DJ out, and they just can't be fucked, and they just sync, and because I'm like, I don't have to prove that I can beat match. And I'm like, yeah, totally, you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's just I find it more fun because you're like, ooh, maybe I can fuck up, or maybe. Because otherwise,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, again,
Same
it's not
shit.
like you're
it's the
playing
whole-
an instrument and like riffing and like, oh, let's just jam out on this. And then there's an energy there that really gets you going. Like that Andy C gig was one of the most fun gigs I've probably had in Perth.
Yeah. It was pretty pumping. I
It
had
was-
a good time.
Yeah, it was just, and everyone was super responsive. And at Sydney, actually, in the Ivy, that's probably the best gig I've done in Oz, where they like singing our tunes. I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Sick.
And you're like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And you just vibe. And then rather than going, oh, okay, track 2 is this, then it comes in at 1 minute 30 with track 3.
Yeah.
And then we take out, I'm like,
Fuck that.
you just play something pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Stand up, press play, and pump it up.
yeah.
What's your number? How many plays has your biggest song had?
It's about to crack 10 million, I think.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that Spotify?
Yeah, it is. It's funny enough, like I just checked today because there was 2 songs that have gone up from like their respective millions. So it was like one just cracked 1 million. This one's going to crack, 10 million probably in the next week. Another one's going to crack 2 million probably in the next couple of days. So
What's the royalties on a? Is it still not a lot, or is it quite a?
well,
is it
it,
all right now?
no, I mean, it's funny. We had good chats with our label boss, and he was like, "Look, streaming labels actually make money streaming.
Yeah, right.
Like they make money now. Before they went, obviously the 90s CDs, everyone was just hissing, and then Napster came around, took the ass out of it, and then changed how people consume music. And then, there was just nothing for like, I don't know, 10 years probably.
Yeah.
They have no idea how labels made money. It was obviously the MP3 store, the iTunes store.
Yeah.
And then streaming came about. And yes, around for every million streams, you get around $3,000.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But that's so if the label
Monthly?
owns, no,
Or just one payment.
no. Well, you get paid like quarterly.
Yeah.
So it's like I think funnily enough, we just got paid our royalties from before we went to Europe. We're like, oh, sweet, perfect. Put
Yeah.
down the bank account and then. while we're there. But labels, it's around average $3,000 per million. So if your label owns 50%, then you get 1,500 of that, and it just accumulates. But as you grow, like we're now, which is pretty mad numbers when you think about it, we're on 380,000 monthly listeners. So so every year, 6-7 weeks, give or take, 1 million streams would have happened, which then comes into our coffers.
That's pretty good.
So we only need another 360,000 listeners.
But it's so crazy because, again, you have no control. You just put the stuff out there and you hope to God that nowadays radio stations are somewhat, redundant.
Yeah.
And it shits me to tears when people go like, oh, Spotify, the owner, whatever his name is, Daniel Elk, he's worth like $11 billion and Spotify only pays like 0.100 of a cent. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, if you think about how many songs are on Spotify, they have, I think, 100 million users paid. Yeah. So let's say they make $1.5 billion a month, right? If you've got, think about how many streams worldwide there would be in a month. Right? Mm-hmm. So you've got Ed Sheeran's on like 60 million a month. Bieber's on around the same. So you've already got 120. Add Calvin Harris, you've got probably... So within 10 artists, you've already got probably 1 billion streams. So that's just 10 artists. Think how many hundreds of thousands of artists there are in the world.
Yeah.
So obviously, they have to make it in a way. Otherwise, they'll be around for a month and be gone.
Bankrupt.
But it has tangible value when promoters book you and they're like, oh yeah, we want to, book Flowidus, blah, blah, blah. And then Jeff can, he's got some analytic program. He goes, look, this is us. Yeah, and it's all data now.
Yeah.
You could see where, oh, you guys are popping off in Prague.
Yeah.
Sweet. Let's contact, you're popping off or you can compare yourself to other people, let's say on the bill.
Yeah.
And this is what we don't do, but what our manager does. And he goes, nah, we need to be on top because of this. And it's fact. And it's kind of interesting how music's...
Yeah, it's more data-driven.
It's just all data-driven.
Yeah. So weird when we look at our charts, where we are in the charts. And some weeks, like when we had we talked about the Mongolian rapper. Yeah. We randomly got in the charts in Mongolia.
Wow.
we're pretty commonly in the Belgian charts, which is so cool. And we're always in like really high in the Austria charts, but I think that's just people.
Austria's good for us too.
But I'm
Australia and Austria.
I reckon
they're like, oh no, nine.
So is it based on location, or do you actually put in there that you're from Australia?
I don't remember putting that up from Australia in Spotify.
So either Spotify is fucked up, or we're pretty big in Austria.
I think it's just where, obviously
location.
So we're obviously fairly big in New Zealand. That's our. So UK is our number one from that song, and then number 2 is New Zealand, and then goes on from there. You can see them all.
What's a song from the listeners if they want to hear it?
What are they? Just go on the Flowidus Spotify and see which one you're feeling. Well, after this bunch of tunes from the UK, we've got like the next 16 months probably of tunes sorted, which is going to be fun.
What's the 10 million one called?
By Your Side. It's with a gentleman named Friction, who's our label boss.
Oh, nice.
And
it's always handy when the boss is successful.
Yeah. And we became like super good mates with him on the tour that we did in 2019 after we just signed. Yeah. And it was just 2 weeks of chaos, and it's just so much fun. And then, we kind of put the tune together, and then it was just at the start of COVID kind of thing. Yeah. And then it's kind of, went haywire, which is cool.
So what was the biggest perk of becoming successful? Yeah. Because now you've got travel, money.
Freedom is a big one.
Yeah.
So... But that all stems from us being our own boss.
Yeah.
So, for example, we're going on holiday, which just started with me and Kate, and then we were like, hey, friends, who wants to come to Italy?
Well, I saw you.
And then it just started. It's like 15 people coming to, because we used to live in Italy, so we still have the house that we rent out, and we're like, okay, let's block it off for September, 2 weeks. And now 15 of us are going. I'm like, dear God.
But isn't that from the points hack that you've gotten everyone on?
And where in Italy?
In Tuscany.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. And then...
Because he's paying a total of like $10 for this trip.
No, I'm paying for that one. The other one we're doing in March is all on points. So I'm a big points slut.
I
circle through credit cards and just like...
Let's
love
get into
it.
that. That's kind of interesting before we continue.
Yeah.
So
So
I-
point
and
slutting.
just remember, I got to go in about 15 minutes, so you guys can keep going after.
Yeah.
but
Easy.
all good.
yeah.
I got it off my one of my girlfriend's brothers.
Yeah.
He was like, he kept posting about it. And I'm like, what is this? He goes, man, all it is, you go on pointshacks.com. I tell everyone because it's such an easy finesse. And you go on pointshacks.com, you see stick with Qantas because Qantas will get you anywhere.
Yeah.
You see what Qantas cards are available and you go, okay, cool. This American Express, if you sign up, you have to spend $3,000 in 3 months, which you'd do on fucking milk.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like you just spend it on
Yeah.
life. And you get 100,000 bonus points. That card, I think that one costs you like $450 a year, but also it gets you 2 lounge entries and that $450 turns into Qantas credit.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. What can I get for 100,000 points? So when I went to Europe in May, I upgraded to business class for 50,000 points. So that's already 10 grand's worth of value.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, I upgraded for another 110,000 points. And but obviously I had more points.
Yeah.
So it's just a way to finesse the game because no one, unless you are making $1 million a year or the company's paying for it, spending 12 grand on a 12-hour flight is a bit like,
That's insane.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But if I can get it for free,
Yeah.
fucking A.
Well, you put me onto it. I booked my flight economy, but I think I'm going to run out of time because my Amex card comes in a few days.
Is it the blue one? The blue and black?
Yeah, I think so. It was 150,000 point one.
Oh, the black one. The
Yeah.
good one. Oh, not this one. The other one?
I don't know.
Oh, the black one is good. That's
it?
for business. Yeah, I can't get it because
Yeah,
I've got
because I've
this
got
one.
an AVN.
Yeah, that one's amazing.
Well,
It
I
gets
mean,
a shitload of points too.
yeah,
Keep
but
that.
the thing with that is I want to use the points to upgrade from Perth to London.
Yeah.
Because I got the non-stop flight.
When are you going?
August 5th.
Oh, you'll be sweet.
When do the points kick in?
They kick in
Once-
pretty quickly.
As soon as you spend $3 grand?
Yeah, as soon as you spend it.
Oh, okay. Because I just bought a flight home for $2.5 grand, and I was like,
On it?
No, I was ringing up Amex like, when does my car get here? And they were like, not for another like 5 to 8 days, because I needed my
Yeah.
my transcript
Yeah.
statement. So I just bought the flight.
Yeah.
Because I think if I wait any longer,
It's gonna get
they're
super
gonna go
expensive.
super expensive.
Just ask, if you need to do it, just ask friends like, hey, you guys buying anything expensive? Just
Yeah.
let me do it and then pay me.
yeah.
But one thing
Because that upgrade 60,000 points to go to business.
Oh, and
Otherwise, it's like $8 grand more.
yeah,
and that
it's
travel
insane.
hack video that you sent to me, I went and
Oh, yeah, the Google
tested
one.
it. Fucking amazing.
It's super, it's actually it's so easy because people just think like, oh shit, I'm going to spend money on my credit card that I don't need to. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You spend the money anyway.
Yeah.
And the
Just
trick
make
is
sure you pay it back.
every 3 months you cycle through a new one.
Yeah.
Um,
But isn't there some provisos where they're like, oh, if you've had.
so yeah, like I can't just get another Amex because they're like, you're already an Amex customer.
Yeah.
But every 3 months, so let's say I've got a NAB one, right? I bought a NAB.
Yeah.
Bought a NAB. I signed up for a NAB one, which is the shittest bank on earth. I hate them dearly. And I just get 100,000 points, spend, I think it was like $5 grand, but I just paid my BAS through a platform called B2B Pay, which tricks the card into thinking it's like a normal spend.
Oh,
I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, there you go. There's
Yeah.
that. And then I just, in the next couple of weeks, I'll just close it off.
Yeah.
Once I get the points and everything's paid off. And then I wait 3 months. I've set up like a reoccurring calendar thing.
Are you going to get audited after this podcast?
Yeah, who knows? But it's such an easy game.
Yeah.
And especially if you make like really good money, not saying that if you're making like mad bank, you can just kind of flick through them really quickly.
Yeah.
But if you're normal like us, you have to wait a while because they start to, because applying for a credit card is kind of like they
consuming.
flick your credit file.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a loan. They see
Yeah.
it as a loan.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's, we
There's
just,
a travel hack that I showed him. I saw it on TikTok. It's google.com/travel/flights. You put your dates in, make it flexible one way, and it shows you, instead of picking a city, just put Europe in, and it shows you all the flights. There's
wow.
flights from Perth to Greece for like
800
380
on
bucks.
Scoot.
Yeah.
the only
Like
kicker
nuts.
is we've done that. When you come back, you have like a 12-hour layover.
Yeah.
And
So
Scoot is if
Yeah.
you're on that mad budget, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
If you
great.
don't mind, roughing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but even not even like for Europe, I looked at something like Bali or Thailand and all that. And if you're not set on a date, if it's not a specific date, you just go and you can see every price of every day.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, well, I'll go on the Tuesday because that's fucking 10 times cheaper. And then I'll come back on that Friday because it's way cheaper.
We booked a holiday in March to like the States because Raph and Eden were like, oh, what are you guys doing in March? Should we go to like New York, Bahamas or New York, Mexico? I was like, interesting. And then I said to Kate's always, she's the best travel buddy. So she's like, oh, I don't want to do New York yet. Let's do something else. I've always wanted to do Bahamas, Cuba, Mexico. I was like, done
all of them.
So we go, all right, well, let's see what's on in March. I'll go on Qantas and you can fly return to either Hawaii or LA for 90,000 points. And I was like, are we sure? Yep. And we just booked the holiday from that. So we saved like $2.5 grand, $3 grand. Because flying is more expensive at the moment.
Yeah.
Because there's
fuel's going up and something else happening.
There's not all the planes are flying.
Yeah.
So in my business networking group, the copywriter, she used to be a pilot instructor, and I asked her, and she's like, yeah, there's half the planes are not. Before there was just planes everywhere, but they've kept them in supply demand, right? Because they've just been bent over a barrel and fucked heavily for the last 2 for the last 2 years. So they have to make some money back.
Because so what's your itinerary? Your itinerary, you're going here.
So,
where in the Bahamas did you go?
Bahamas. No, they're going in March.
Yeah, in March. Yeah, so we do Hawaii for 5 days, then Bahamas for 5 days, then Cuba for 4, then Mexico for a week.
So much cocaine.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Cuba. I've never been there.
Cuba will be, because I love taking photos when I go traveling.
Drugs.
Yeah. Don't we all? Yeah. And it would be like a time capsule. Yeah. Be stuck in we went, I was like, how cheap is it actually?
Yeah.
And you can get hotel rooms for like $20 a night.
Yeah.
And they're just like, and it is stuck back in time. Like, it's not like there's Wi-Fi everywhere.
Yeah.
I probably don't think they have credit card. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be fucking great.
Before you leave, I want to get talking. We don't have any points, but we've used our podcast to get access to a frequent rider. Lucky Duck have come on board and given us a share in a horse.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're pretty excited for that. We've got 5% of this horse.
Not quite the horse enthusiast.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it called again?
Ketamine.
It's called, I've got to change. It was called, he sent us the wrong horse.
Oh, okay.
So
the horse we agreed to, mate. Jesus.
Oh, we didn't agree. We just got given it.
Yeah, but
So
let's see. We got
it's
given
called
a horse.
Whole Lot of Tasha.
What?
Whole Lot of Tasha.
Whole Lot of Tasha.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we got a Whole Lot of Tasha. And
where is it based?
Perth.
Whole Lot of Tasha.
So we've been offered to go to the owners club, so we got to go there and
buy a suit.
Yeah, and basically, if any listeners
Drink
want to
some
get
Carlton
involved
Dry.
into getting shares in a horse, we're going to team up with the Grim Reapers and try create like a listener's horse wherever.
Far Lap 2.0.
Well, how good would that be? Like all of the listeners just rocking up, having a big box, and getting a win, and just fucking.
Yeah. When you win, you get free piss until the next race as well. So I know that from my other horse when you rock up.
Well, how long's that? Like probably about 45?
You smash as much as you can.
For about 45
About
minutes?
50 minutes.
Yeah.
Just double clutch shift.
Yeah.
A whole lot of Tasha. Yes. I'm fucking excited, actually. And as always, gamble responsibly.
Yeah. Which links us into ketamine. I want to hear
gambling.
Yeah.
All right. I want to hear 3 minutes of this story.
I want to hear all of you've told me some belters and I've seen you.
Allegedly,
having some big nights. What was the London experience like? Did you get what happened? Are you prepared to discuss?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me too much.
The night I met you properly.
Are you telling me drum and bass scene has lots of drugs involved?
Funny that, yeah.
Well, we had the professor on last week, and the night I met you properly for the first time, you'd just come from a bucks do.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So yeah, as most of my friends know, that big fan of hallucinogens. I think they're bloody brilliant. And
so was Dr. Stephen Bright.
Yeah,
So
I need to listen and finish that podcast because I think it's just I think it's just great. Like I had one of the best experiences of my life in London, at this riding camp, right? we finished the listening party.
Yeah.
Everyone was just like loving, vibing life. And then like midnight, we were like, one of the guys, which I'm a big fan of, he was like, oh, I've got some DMT, which old mate spoke about.
Yeah.
Which I think is the most amazing, like, it's a drug, but it has such a dirty word. It's such a eye-opening experience.
It's a gateway.
It's
Third eye-opening experience.
And I think it's fucking brilliant. And I think people should try it, and not in the sense of like, oh, I want to get bent and twisted. It's just like, just see where this goes, because I think it's absolutely amazing.
I'm a virgin.
It's phenomenal.
I can't wait though.
And so me, him, and one of the girls went into where the studio was, which is like a cinema room. So it was meant for like just tripping. And I got my laptop and I got like a 10-hour fractal fractal thing on a projector. We had like a, $5,000 speakers there to do music stuff, and I was like, oh my God, I have reached my final form. And so she was a bit hesitant because she hasn't never done it. I'm like, look, it's sweet. You're gonna I'll do it first.
Yeah,
and
I'm a shaman.
So
I'm fully trained.
Yeah, exactly. I'm certified. Yeah. And we all three of us did it, and we were just on the sickest trip on earth. And I've never seen a human being with so much joy in her face, like this unfiltered joy, because she's never experienced it.
Yeah.
And like, she's just, her mouth and eyes are just like this. And she ran. So I was like on this couch, and she opened the sliding door, and the light just shined on her face. And it was just like this insanely happy girl runs out and goes, guys, you have to do it. You have to do it. So everyone.
So this was post her trip where she
was just like
She's
mind
come out of it,
blown.
yeah.
And everyone was like kind of hesitant, because everyone puts it on a pedestal and it puts all like hallucinogens on like this. It's like, sure, if you're anxious or like you don't believe, like you think, if you have any doubts, yeah, sure, don't do it, because it can get a bit funny.
Don't be pressured into doing it first.
But if you're if you go, I've got a strong head on my shoulders, and I'm let's see where this goes.
Intention.
Yeah,
Set
and
the
you
right
come from a
intention.
good intention. It's not like it's just fucking phenomenal. And everyone then came in. There's 10 of us. I was like this mad shaman. And everyone was doing it, and it was just like waving the DMT around her. And
I was thinking, has he got sage?
Yeah. And then
sprinkling his fairy dust on everyone.
and it was like one of the most wholesome. Everyone was just like, this is phenomenal. Like we were all just there for an hour, just cruising through, listening to tunes. Joshua Tree, actually.
Yeah.
Rufus Joshua Tree.
Yep.
Banging. And then afterwards, they were all just like, man, thanks. Like, everyone was just like gobsmacked and just like, wow.
Did anyone have any like breakthroughs, or was it just more?
It was more just vibe, and like all your world just turns into a computer game, and it's just hilarious. And it was just so much fun, and one of the most wholesome experiences. I was like, how is this not a thing? Like,
how is it illegal?
Yeah, and I'm a huge believer in decriminalizing and legalizing drugs, because I think it would just
take away the stigma.
Yeah, take away the stigma, make it a mental health issue. Mm-hmm. And I'm decently successful, and I have nothing against drugs. Like, I think the stigma of like, you do drugs, you will go into a wormhole and die.
Yeah, this is your brain on marijuana.
Yeah. And you see it now, like Canada's decriminalizing MDMA, and
next 5 years.
Yeah, I just think, and you watch, like, it's not just going to go, everyone's just going to, the crime's going to go through. None of that. It's just this kind of old way of thinking that I just don't think it's right. It's just like, stupid.
I think Portugal's the perfect. It's
yeah,
Portugal.
They've done the most. I think they've pretty much done anything.
Done the most DMT.
Huge progressions. They were one of the worst. I think heroin epidemics going around, and having decriminalized and having legal, what do they call it? Injection rooms, and being in safe spaces and doing it the right way. Like,
people are going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
It's the dramatic reduction. One of the biggest reductions in drug use and overdose, I think, was the biggest one. Yeah. Biggest reduction, like a 50% reduction in overdoses.
My thought is, if you go like let's say we've decriminalized it here, or let's say legalize it, right? You go, I would maybe start at 21, maybe. I think 21 is
Wait
good.
till your brain's
fully
formed.
developed.
Yeah.
21, and then you go to a pharmacy and you've got a quota, right? And if you go, hey, can I grab whatever, DMT, cocaine, whatever the drug, like you don't have to go meth. Like I think meth is, just get rid of that. But let's say cocaine, MDMA, because obviously all this, the work that it has with psychology and like depression, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And hallucinogens, whatever they may be. And you go to a pharmacy, it's controlled. You tax the shit out of it.
It's clean.
It's clean. You get free healthcare, free education, because sure as shit, if you legalize drugs in Australia, every motherfucker's going to be taking it.
That makes so much money.
Yeah.
Every motherfucker's
already taking it. You know what I mean?
And it would
get rid of
solve-
bikies.
Yeah,
it'll get rid of all this. Like I don't understand.
It would reduce so
but
much
I think
crime.
in America they make so much money on the actual prosecution of the crime
And jail.
because all the jails are privatized.
And racial reasons like we talked about last week. But hey, I got to go. You guys keep chatting because it's been fucking awesome. I'm going to have
Thanks
to
for
listen to
having me,
this. Get into these fucking almonds.
I will.
Oh my God. I mean, if you've heard me, I've just been dabbling with them.
And we'll get Jamal
Woolworths.
on the mic as
All
well.
right,
He
just
can-
let me have a drink of water first. I got
Yeah.
questions.
Oh, you got questions. I love it, Jamal. All right.
Have
cool.
you had...
Thanks, listeners.
see
Have
you,
fun.
Branchy. Have you had any breakthroughs on DMT? Have you seen another spirit entity, or do you just see fractals? Or do you,
just
you
see
see the
fractals.
elves?
I have these two. Whenever I do it, I kind of feel like there's these two people-ish, spirity things next to me, kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't get too
Like
spiritual. I'm
guides
not
nearly?
spiritual in any way, but I just kind of, I'm just interested where it goes. I've had one where, my whole world just turned into a computer game, and I just was walking around. I was like, this is unbelievable.
So on DMT,
yeah.
were you aware of like that you were here though?
I
'Cause
was
my
always
experience
aware of, this is happening.
right.
And I'm like, this is amazing. Because I've always, and I think this is probably from my mum's upbringing, I've got a very like grounded sense of self. And I just, I know
alpha.
exactly, I just know exactly where I am and what I can and can't do in a sense. So I don't mind pushing that sort of boundary and going, okay, let's see where I can go. Because I know I've always got the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, you're doing DMT at a mate's house and it's 4 a.m. and it's all sweet. Nothing actually is going to go wrong.
Whereas some people freak.
And I totally get that. And that's why I think with some people go, yeah, let's try it. I'm like, maybe not the best one to do, you know. But
because I thought from when the DMT that I had, I went somewhere else. I wasn't even here.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like, oh, Daniel is on the couch.
Yeah.
It was, I'm just in a different, I was absorbed into a whole different dimension.
Yeah.
So, and then eventually I came
You
back.
come too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, bravo.
So that's what I mean. I was like, I haven't experienced being
in and
DMT.
just kind of, this is because
on
if
the-
you
on
do
the
it through a
borderline.
vape, it's a bit more social. It's not like bang and you fly.
Gone.
But I think I remember I was whenever it was, probably 6-7 months ago, super stressed from work and all this stuff, and then my mate came over, had some wines. He's never done it. I'm like, oh, let's try it out. Go to the studio, listen to some tunes, put some lights on, and afterwards I was like, you know what? It's all good.
Yeah.
Like everything. Like I don't need to stress because it's gonna be all fine anyway.
Yeah.
And it was kind of one of these moments where I'm like, oh, And I also am blessed that I don't have addictive personality. I don't know why, I just don't.
Well, it's probably you've dealt with your trauma and your issues.
Well, you know how I always say like people have trauma. I've never had. I mean, again, luckily enough, my life from a kid. My dad died when I was 1, but my mum never made that a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not traumatized from that. And my dad now has been the best father figure you could think of, and he came in when I was 5.
Yeah.
So I'm 32
So
now.
destined not to be a rapper.
Definitely not. No, I've got nothing to talk about. Yeah, my life is good, yo. So that whole thing, I was like, I don't have, and again, this is not coming from an arrogant or prick point of view. I'm luckily enough where I've just never really had any trauma that's
Or pain,
actually like,
pain to mask over.
yeah, or sure, I've been heartbroken as a child with young girlfriends.
Yeah.
100%. But like actual trauma, I don't have that.
Yeah.
You never punch them in the DMT dimension. Just
No,
see their
yeah,
face and you have to-
exactly. Yeah.
Did you have a question, Jamal? You're saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So you've never had any bad trips?
No,
on the hallucinogens?
I love it. Like
Yeah.
and And I do it in situations where I'm, people wouldn't do it, and I'm like, oh, I'm just cruising. Because I don't like
What's
to
a
drink.
situation
I don't
where
like,
people wouldn't do it?
oh, just, I don't know, like a festival, like a
Yeah.
normal, hold on, sorry. People do it at festivals, but more like if they,
Not like a
or just going
hallucinogen.
out and just like, I can, my body goes well with that. I
Yeah.
hate the feeling of alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, the next day I'm dead if I'm
Yeah, yeah,
hungover. Whereas with that, I'm just like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Like you could go on till like 6, 7 a.m., go to bed, sleep for 4 hours, then come back. I'm like, oh, cool.
Sweet.
So
I
it's,
was
yeah.
talking to one of your mates. I can't remember who it was. It was his first time doing, I think, acid or shrooms. And he rocked up to a Bucks and they were all dressed as bananas and he was a gorilla.
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
Who's
yeah,
that? We don't have to say
yeah,
names,
we do,
but
yeah, I know you.
I was
about.
pissing it, man. He
Yeah.
showed me the photos. Was he a banana?
He went to a Bucks and then
And he'd never done...
He's never done it, and then everyone was dressed as bananas, and he's just like, "What the fuck is going on?"
And he was he a banana? He was
Yeah,
dressed as
or
banana
the-
as
or-
well?
yeah, and
and
there
the
was
buck rocked up as a gorilla?
Correct, and I think there was some people were SpongeBob or something. Everyone was in like full body,
Yeah.
like do costumes,
Yeah, the photos were so good.
and you're like, "Fuck!"
I'll
alright,
get the story refreshed because I was pissing myself, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely pissing it.
And I mean, one of the gnarliest moments was on when we had a gig in New Zealand, and I was like, "Oh, sweet, yeah, I'll take some acid." And
Yeah.
in New Zealand,
His first time or
wow.
like...
Oh, this was after this. I was like, "Wow, this is an amazing experience."
Yeah.
Because it's an experience. It's not just like, energy or whatever. It's like, okay, I'm seeing things that I know aren't real, and I know
like what? Tell it to... Go,
So-
let's go.
I was the only one that had it. So we played at a festival, and it's one of the big festivals called Bay Dreams. There's about 40,000 people there, spread around like 10 different stages, and we played at like 3 or 4, and then we had the whole night to just kind of kick it and party. So we're all backstage with Steen and Aya and Jeff and our other mates, and
Steven's Mac Shane listeners. He's
Yes.
been on plenty, yeah. Who MCs for you? Some we didn't even
oh
reference
yeah,
that.
of course, yeah, he does.
Yeah, so he MCs sometimes.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then
Was he toured with you for that one?
for that one, yeah, that was an amazing time. That was New Year's Eve 19 to 20.
Yeah.
Just before the world shut down. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I had this acid, and holy fucking Jesus. Like,
Is that who you saw?
yeah, it was just so, like, I was looking through like a kaleidoscope. I was like, well, I'm in it now. Like, that was the
Yeah.
thought. I'm like, I can't make it stop.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's just cruise. And I remember just like kind of hovering around this festival, and we went backstage and through the and the beautiful thing is I can remember everything.
Yeah,
like that's
nice.
why I just don't understand the difference of that and alcohol. Alcohol is yuck. Like the
Blackout.
effect of it's just I don't get it. But so we're backstage at a and walking through, it was like a basketball court at the backstage. And all of a sudden,
There was an actual basketball court, or was it like a one?
No. It's an actual like a
Yeah.
basketball arena.
Yeah,
and
okay.
through backstage, and then there's
Game
another
blouses.
stage. And no one was there except for like empty road cases, and it's just a backstage area
Yeah.
to walk through to get to the other stage. And then all of a sudden, all the lines off the court just like raise up, and I'm just walking through a sea of colorful spaghetti. I'm like, fucking Christ. And just and you're just like, oh, this is cool. Like, I'm into it. I like this because
Yeah.
I'm so switched on from a like work perspective, Monday to Friday,
Yeah.
all
It's a nice
day, every
relief.
day. That if I do it, I'm like, I know that on Monday I'm going to go back at work, do the same stuff that I always do,
Yeah.
with the same like ambition and drive. It's just like going out for a drink.
So it shouldn't be stigmatized.
No, 100% not. And that's why I think people, like, it's good that with podcasts and stuff like that, people do talk about it, and it's not just like if I came out and said, look, I love injecting heroin, that could be that's a bit, like it's a bit it's a bit different,
It's half Portuguese.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you kind of do it, and like people need to realize that it's not such a it's not such an ever consuming thing. You just do it like you drink a beer, or
Yeah.
okay, you just go, oh, I'm gonna go on the Friday and have a beer and have a bit of acid. Probably not, but if you do it, it's a thing you are controlling.
Yeah.
I think that people go like, oh, if I have it and you don't have control, you always have. If you think you're not
You're
going
aware.
to have a control, then maybe that might not be the
And
thing.
if you're
for
going
you.
in with that doubt, I
Yeah,
don't have
exactly.
control, then your brain will be like, you're going to lose control.
Yeah, and I've
then-
never had that like bad trip thing because
Yeah.
I'm always what's bad? I don't have anything bad. I've got fucking phenomenal friends, a great partner. I enjoy my life.
Yeah.
If I take acid, I'm probably having fun with
You're probably
one of those.
solidified.
Yeah, just like
Well, as Professor was saying, like the people that have bad trips are the ones that fight it, and they're like, I don't like
'cause
this, and you're like, no,
you can't like
you can't stop where it's going to go. So I was talking about when I had my drinks spiked in Vegas. Like I've got to go into the story like on the Patreon. I think I told you it in the pub the other week, but
so,
it's kind of long. But I remember having the thought, the boys, before we got spiked, the penthouse they had is the only one at I think it was the Bellagio that had a balcony. It was the only room that has a balcony because everywhere else, people would jump off. So they were like, this is so gangster. This is where they filmed
the Hangover. I know the one.
And they're
you're talking
like, no one else has
Where the
balcony because
tiger-
everyone jumps off.
about.
So when I've gone into that room and I'm tripping,
you
I'm like,
have that in your jump off.
man, this would feel wicked jumping off.
Oh,
and I'm like,
Jesus.
looking over the edge going, how would that feel? Imagine the feeling. And then my brain's like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm
Hold
like,
up.
I could do it just to feel. I'm like, don't do that. Man, you can't explain that to your family.
Yeah.
So then I was like, fuck, I need to get away from this balcony. But I feel like people that don't have that that grounding would go, yeah, I'm going to do it.
Well,
and
it's
just
like
jump
that
off.
footy.
Yeah.
That footy player
From Port.
Yeah, who like jumped onto a balcony, onto
The
a
palm
tree. And
That's
died,
what I
didn't
thought he was doing. That John McCarthy.
Yeah.
Not John McCarthy. Yeah, I think it was John McCarthy is his name.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Benny Cuz 2.0.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I reckon I had that exact thought. I was like, I reckon this is what he was feeling.
Yeah.
He
It could be.
He
Yeah.
could have been going, I reckon I can do that. And
I
tried.
think I think it's something also, and as I've gotten,
Because that's not alcohol. Oh, it could be alcohol.
it could be, but I think it's also something that I've noticed as I've gotten older and wiser, is how my mum raised me, in the sense of having like the groundedness, having the confidence to know who you are and what you can and can't do, but also leaving your ego at the door. Like, because being more involved in music, you see egos everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And they're fucking idiots. Like, like at the first of all, you or we make music. You're not changing the world.
Yeah.
Big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Like you make people happy, give or take, maybe. It's a bit of fun, but there's
Let's
a
ruin your
thousand.
mushroom trip.
Yeah. But there's 1,000 other people that can do it as well. You're not, you're not saving lives. You're not a heart surgeon. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, I hate musicians that are arrogant. Like, and I see it quite often, and you kind of think, well, like, why? Like, and I think that's also, if you have that kind of frame of mind and you do stuff like, oh, I could fly. You know what I mean? Like, because that's an egotistical
Pan on acid.
arrogance going like,
Yeah.
like gravity?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think probably also my Whopper days, I remember your ego gets shut down real quickly from your teachers who are 1,000 times better than you. And I remember one of my teachers, I was playing the snare drum solo, and he was like, yeah, okay, do it again, but just less shit. I was like, sweet. Because I thought
40 grand.
Yeah, I thought, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm nailing this one. And he's like, yeah, again, but less shit. I was like, okay.
Well, the one that I found, I started just taking the piss, saying that you're the alpha dog the other week, but it's because you're grounded and you don't care what people think of you. You haven't got the ego, and that's has the actual opposite effect of dropping an ego.
Yeah.
People would be like, oh, fuck, man, like he's like an alpha male. It's like, no, he just doesn't have the ego. He's doing what he wants, don't care.
And that's another thing, like going back at the whole, the Merca thing and saying yes to things and just doing.
Yeah.
And
just not meth.
Yeah, just not meth or heroin.
Or heroin,
acid, D&T, yes, sweet. But don't don't tell people that you're doing, especially if you haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Because there's this huge thing now with social media. People talk about what they're going to do before they even do it, which self-validates them doing it so they don't even have to do it.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, man, just clout hunting twats.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time with music, like this big thing now on TikTok is, I don't know if you've seen it, when they go like, what if this song and it's some I don't know, fucking
was mixed with this song.
and you're like, that's fine if you're a established producer and you're doing it for whatever and cool. What shits me is there's these little like just little green rats that do it to like bypass the culture.
Yeah.
Because they see that old mate, I don't know, David Guetta or like Dead Mouse got 100 million hits on that.
Yeah.
Because it's actually a good piece of music and whatever. Yeah. And then they go, oh, I want to get 100 million hits. Yeah. So they want the outcome, but not the journey. So they try to bypass it and they like put it up on social media like they're like these kings or queens, whoever they may be. And it's just like, stop trying to bypass culture.
That's the helicopter to the top of Everest instead of the journey.
Shut up, do it, grind, and just do it because you love doing it, not because you want to like.
Trigger. I found your trauma.
Yeah, that's me and Raph was having this chat when we were in UK. I'm like, fucking shits me, like, because you're literally bypassing all of the stuff.
How long was it from when you and Raph decided? I don't even think we asked how you and Raph met and decided to be Flowidus, to when you had your big hit. Like, what's the time frame on that? You said about 5 years.
We met, I think. Oh, I know where we met here in Perth. It was a gig that Jeff did at Shape. Remember Shape?
Yeah, I remember Shape.
I think it was called still Shape or the Cube. I can't remember. It was, let's just say Shape. We played a gig. He was on after me. I was on before him. We had a chat afterwards. He's like, oh, yeah, I make music. I was like, oh, I make music. He's like, oh, I use Logic. Oh, I use Logic. Yeah. And then we're like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Cool.
And then I think that was 2014, 15.
Yeah.
Like December 2014, 15.
Yeah.
Then we made some tunes, and then one of them, I remember the feeling, we like sent it to Ram, which was like a big label at the time on SoundCloud, and they got back to us, and I was just like, what the fuck? Just like shitting myself. And I kind of miss
happy shitting
happy feces. Yeah. And I kind of miss that excitement.
Yeah.
Because without sounding like a dick, because obviously as you develop and whatever you do, same for you, like you're doing comedies, you do bigger shows, it's like, oh, cool. Yeah. Because it becomes like, well, you know, I've just grinded for 8 years. Yeah. And this is the norm now. Yeah. But I kind of miss that joyful excitement of like, holy shit, like this is happening.
When I got Perth Comedy Fest, that was like me winning Raw again, like my heat. Yeah. I was like, fuck, man, I was like shaking, like nearly crying. I was like, man. And then I realized like anyone can do it. I just didn't apply. But it's to be on Perth Comedy Fest where it's chosen, as opposed to being a numpty that anyone can do it free. Yeah. I was like, fuck, man.
And it validates your like 8, 10, 15, whatever journey it is.
How did you go around getting signed?
Again, I have a good memory, and I like to remember these kind of moments whenever they happen. I was living with 5 of my mates in City Beach. I was cooking dinner, and I just met Kate. I think she was coming over, and we don't really use Twitter, definitely not anymore. We just had a Twitter account. Yeah. And it was like, oh, Friction's following you? And I was like, the fuck? That's the guy we make the music with now, or the tune with now, who is one of like the dons of drum and bass, who's been in there for like 25 years, you know, like is one of the biggest names in the scene. And he was like, what the fuck?
So they'd be like Bill Burr following me or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And you're just like,
wow.
Hi? Yeah. Like, because you're like, fuck, I'm not going to like...
At Friction.
Yeah. Good day. So, and then he was kind of like, oh, so what's the deal with you guys, blah, 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 because he's kind of noticed the stuff we were putting out. And it's like, and he kind of saw maybe there's something there, and then we started chatting, and we were umming and ahhing between him, them, and Ram Records, and thankfully we went with them because it was just brilliant. Like we are such good mates with our label now, and they're the best people on earth.
That's awesome.
We again, we were having beers with Kia, the other owner, and he was like, well, labels take a punt on artists. They go, well, because it's a super long play, labels, they have to, you know, like for them, if a song hits 1 million streams in, I think 2 years, he's like, it's okay, they made their money back on that song.
Okay.
So
now they're getting artists for songs as opposed to for like one song.
well,
rather
they
than
start
album.
off and they see how they go, and because they go, okay, we're going to sign you, and they signed us for a 1 or 2 album deal, which means like X amount of songs.
Are you scared of all the stuff you hear in the industry where people just get completely raped by their
Well,
agent?
no, but that's the thing. Like, because, and I noticed this while we were over there, because Raph and I have this like separation of we are not music. Like, obviously we produce music, but it's then that's not our sense of self.
Yeah, yeah.
I go, if someone's like, oh, what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm a business owner and I make music on the side.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm a business owner and I make music.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think of me as only a business owner. Music.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so we can chat to them like friends. And we can say like, and the other artists are more like, ugh. And because we're really good mates with Friction or Ed, because we went on tour with him, we just have this, there's this no filter like approach. So I don't, I understand because I've heard the stories of other people and their labels but our label are just the sickest. They've just been there for 15 years. They've grown and grown and constantly going up. And now they created this new label 4 years ago, which we got in at the ground floor.
Yeah.
And now it's like the premier drum and bass dance floor label.
That fly out of houses to do
and
DMT and make music.
Yeah,
Sick.
and you know, they take a gamble with us because let's say, you know, they look at us and go, okay, you got 40,000 streams a month, whatevs. We think there's something there. And that could turn to shit. Like we could be like, oh yeah, sweet, and then just do nothing.
And do they give you a signing bonus?
Oh, it's like 1,000. It was fuck all. Like it's not that. And then over time, you know, as this, you know, things progressed over the last 4 years, we've kind of 10 times or 10-folded our. I'm just going by streams because it's the easiest metric to kind of, you know, gauge things.
Metric, another DJ as well.
Yeah, he's a sick producer. We just came off tour with him. He's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
And he, I mean, and then we, you know, they invest their time and quite a lot of money because they've got, you know, 10 staff and like all this, you know, time for you. And then it's up to you to hopefully be able to make some tunes that connect.
What do they do for you? I've never really asked this question about a label. What do they do?
They do PR, they promote the tunes, they release the tunes.
Yeah.
They give you a sort of like, you know, if you're signed on a label, if you release on a label, it's
validity.
It gives you a validity because obviously there's amazing producers that haven't been signed or don't sign and either killing it or they might just be twiddling around or doing whatever. But it gives you the validity of like, oh yeah, they're on Elevate. When tours come about,
just like being a comic going, oh, he's with Century or Simon Token.
Exactly, and the same thing, like they open up experiences and opportunities like that thing.
Yeah,
and we wrote, I mean, not saying that it's coming out, but they sent out an email to all their artists saying, hey, Brucey, one of these blowing up MCs, is releasing an album on Def Jam UK. So Def Jam as in like Def Jam.
The old comedy.
No, nothing like that. But it's the huge hip hop. Like I think it's owned by Geffen. Like it's one of the biggest indies owned by the majors. Like Snoop Dogg and all that stuff. I think have been on there. And they sent out an email. It's like, does anyone have any tracks that could work for Brucey? And we're like, so we quickly went in the studio and made one. Which actually it was one of those moments where I'm really bad at that. I can't make things for certain things. I just make and then hopefully it turns out good. And if it's shit, move on next one. But it kind of just worked. And we're like, so we did it and we sent it to him or sent it to them and they're waiting to hear if they take it or not. He might not take it, but it's an opportunity that you go, holy shit, we may have a tune on Def Jam UK. So there's all these opportunities that come through it. And now drum and bass is really stepping up and really getting in the mainstream. Yeah. Like one of their artists did a bootleg of Crazy in Love.
Yeah.
I mean, hold on. Actually, it's like Ludes Down Under. That thing started with TikTok, went absolutely...
Can't stand that.
Went absolutely batshit crazy. Yeah. And good on him, that's great.
I hate the TikTok dance that goes with it. The girls.
Oh, yeah, TikTok dancing is AIDS. Yeah.
Do you have to produce for TikTok now? Because I met a few people.
Well, so this is what I was saying before, this bypassing culture shit. Because they see, let's say someone like Lude, who's a great producer, who's been doing it for however many years. Yeah. He does it and it just ticks off. And he's like, okay. Yeah. And then Colin Hay calls him and goes, yeah, that's sweet, let's do it. And then he releases it, and since November has had 140 million streams on Spotify alone. Yeah. has now like a full European summer circuit, like absolutely popping off.
one tune.
And you're like, fucking brilliant. You've just won the music lottery. Hats off to you. Good on you.
Yeah.
But what people see or what young producers see, they're like, oh, he made music for TikTok.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to make music for TikTok. Make some shitty hack like jingle for like 30 seconds and then hope that it does something on TikTok.
Good question, Jamal.
And this is this bypassing culture thing which shits me because they just see the outcome and it doesn't come like that.
So
I'm sure 1 in 100 million does it.
Put in before that. Yeah.
And because not Lude, but the other people that may just do that for the sake of I want to do what Lude does suck.
Yeah,
because they have been doing it for 3 months.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 10 years and I've just started figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, I know how to kind of do this and that.
Lots
You know
of
what I mean?
crossovers with comedy as well. People that have been on for 1 or 2 years and then they get signed and you're like, man, I've just figured out how to do this. And like these guys are doing huge, or girls are doing massive things.
And if they, like I have absolutely, I've never met Lude. He seems like a really good dude. I've chatted on Instagram and stuff. Some people in the scene for drum bass, I've seen it, they kind of diss the tune or they hate it. I'm like, he didn't go about, like any producer, making the tune to go like, oh, I'm going to do it to get massive. He had no fucking idea that it could have flopped and like did nothing.
Yeah, he just did it because he
But
liked
it didn't. It absolutely went batshit crazy. And then all these other bigger producers, not all, but some, like respected in the scene, kind of say like, oh, if you play this tune, you should check yourself. I'm like, he didn't make it to fuck you.
Yeah.
You're just jealous because he's now probably made like 500 grand.
Yeah.
And is on all these gigs. And yes, it's a way for him to go from here into like a drum and bass world. Sure, he hasn't got the years of drum and bass back catalogue, but he can still produce. And it's not
so
like,
was he not drum and bass?
no, not
before?
really. He just
Right,
kind of
got ya.
started, and it just
Well,
luck of the draw.
Yeah.
And
The drum and bass scene's pretty tight knit from what I've experienced being with you guys.
It's very, especially in Perth, but also
Same people, same gigs, all the
time. And then obviously in the UK and London, it's like extrapolated, but it's always the same. And they're very big. They've got a very deep, rich history, which is awesome. But it's just a musical lottery. Like he won it. Congrats. Like Gautier with his like
the
whatever.
one song.
Yeah, the one song.
So that Sydney rapper with Rolling in the Deep, that's still being played.
Is that the
What you know about rolling down in
Oh.
the deep? Yeah, he's like
Is that a
Sydney
Sydney
or
rapper?
Melbourne.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So I listened to that full
Wow,
song.
yeah,
and
right.
It's not the best, but I loved it. It was catchy as fuck for that 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is going to be interesting. Like social, I hate it and love it. I don't love it. I understand social media and I hate that we have to do it, but I see the benefits of it. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting because TikToks are all these like 20-second, 30-second. The attention span to how people listen to music changes.
Yeah.
So you'll probably see that in the next 3 or 4 years as the younger generation gets to the main consumer age or whatever, that songs might get shorter.
Yeah. One song will be 3 different 30-second songs.
Yeah, no, and it's just like this chaos of, sound. You're kind of like, well, it's not always for the better. You know what I mean? Like I might sound like old fashioned here, like our grandparents are like, oh, you listen to such fast music. I get that, but I'm also like, I understand music to a decent level.
Do you reckon that's what they did when Mozart released his first hit before
Well,
that?
it's
They were like,
always-
look at
yeah.
this young wimp. Look, I can't stand this music.
Yeah.
Who does he think he is?
There's always that, but then there's also something you got to step back from a neutral point of view. It's like, well, dilution of, I don't know. It kind of feels like it's slightly diluting art, and like it's like some, I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan, and his whole thing is like, people we're stuck to our phones now, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, he doesn't think it's bad. He just thinks it's evolution.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of get it. But at the same time, if you're like stuck to your phone all the time and you can't have a conversation with another human being, it starts to, because you're so fucking anxious to interact with another human that isn't on the phone. Like wait till the metaverse starts really popping off. You know what I mean? So it's going to, the mental fuck show is going to be hilarious to watch from the outside.
And he's contributed to that problem with culture, with his, ideology of content.
It's got to me, man. I'm like, I never used to film anything, and now I'm like, oh, I got to do content. I enjoy it, but at the same time, it's kind of a chore.
100%. I hate doing it for us, and like, for people like you or Steen or like Who's Rhyme, like
Yeah.
stuff like for
We need
TikTok
that.
stuff is,
Yeah.
and you could actually, get to another level by doing that. And
Wish Jamal's producing some
There
of
you
our
go.
reels for us. Yeah.
and that's fine. And I think it's great when it's used to a vehicle to further
Yeah.
like art. But when it's a fine line of kind of like diluting it almost.
Yeah.
Not in your sense, but in like, hi, what if you made this song sound like this song and
Yeah.
then do some bait shit that sounds half decent on a speaker.
Yeah.
But you put it on a like festival rig and it's like the biggest
See, I think
turd
half of
you'll
that,
ever hear.
if they're looking at the mentality, like as a comic, I want to put out shit that I think's funny, but at the same time, Gary Vee is just like 4 things a day and that dilutes quality. But also like to get people to actually watch the stuff you want them to watch, you have to jump on with the trends that you don't like.
Yeah.
So like if you wanted people to listen to more Flowidus, you might have to do, what if this was with
Yeah, I
that,
know.
just to drive them to your other music,
And
which is like...
Yeah, and thankfully, like we're on TikTok and we dick around a bit every now and then, and we've got some followers, but I've come from the idea of like quality will prevail, and
Yeah.
hopefully we make good enough music that, and now we've been doing it for like 4 or 5 years that we've got quite a decent amount of followers, and it's it's kind of like
How are you
What do
with
you call it?
fans?
I think it's cool. Like I don't mind.
Do you get overwhelmed? Like,
No,
because you'd
I
have...
mean, it's not like I'd walk the street and go like.
yeah, but
people
at
scream.
a show, people would know who you are.
Sometimes, yeah, like in Perth, I might get asked for a photo or two.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I think it's sweet. Like, it's
Yeah.
cool. Like, it's kind of, and I remember you said you don't like it. You kind of, or
I
you
get
like,
super anxious.
Anxious, yeah.
I don't know what they expect me to be
Yeah,
like
yeah,
or
yeah.
how to act.
well, yours would be more different because yours, you're personally
Yeah, yeah.
speaking and, they're interacting with you personally.
Yeah.
Whereas with me, it's just like, you're the guy behind the decks
Yeah.
and they don't know what I sound like or what I,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
And
I
they're
think,
always into you, Delby, in this Me Too era. No wonder you're anxious, bro. What's going on?
That's just the guys, bro.
yeah, that's a whole nother conversation there.
Yeah.
But
Well, I don't like to talk to girls after gigs specifically for that reason as well. I don't like. It's all in my head. It's probably not
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
But if a girl's talking to me, I'm hyper aware of either other girls or guys going, oh, look at him fucking trying to pick up chicks, and after this he's just fucking, and I'm like, I don't want any of that.
because that is what it's somewhat gotten to.
Yeah.
Like someone just filmed you like hugging someone.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I'm generalizing, but everything's
Context.
taken out of context.
Yeah.
Context doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why like the whole Ricky Gervais thing. It's like you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
joke about anything
Yeah.
with context. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like everything is be laughable
Yeah.
matter. But they don't hear the context and they just hear like, oh, you don't like people that aren't white or
Yeah.
something. It's like, no, that's not. That's absolutely not what I said.
Yeah.
And it just turns into this like,
Do you think Kramer was taken out of context?
boy, that
Sure,
yeah,
for sure.
For sure.
that,
Yeah.
that is still one of the greatest. When I saw that, I'm like, oh my
Who showed me?
God.
Who showed me?
And it's
the
an
other
old
day?
one too.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like 10 years. Like it's just
Who showed me Chappelle talking about it? Someone was saying Chappelle was like, I know that I'm more comedian than I am black because I watched Kramer, and instead of thinking, oh my God, I can't believe he said that, he's like, oh shit, Kramer's bombing.
yeah, that's brilliant. That was one of the probably by far the hardest. Like how you could just
That was
hear his
vitriol in his
mental
voice. Yeah.
just snap.
Yeah.
Something just I don't
It
know.
was pure anger and from,
just
not from a joking
he probably doesn't
place.
even have any recollection of it happening.
Yeah.
Like it
Adrenochrome.
just
Adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome overdose, man.
man.
It was actually
Yeah.
Morse code.
Have you got onto adrenochrome yet, or what?
What's that?
Do you know what adrenochrome is?
No,
It's where
sounds like some pre-workout pus.
it's the most
Post
ultimate.
workout,
Yeah.
technically.
It's the conspiracy where they think the Clintons and the elite, they scare kids, and just before they die, they produce all this adrenaline, and then they extract that, and then they have it for the best high you can ever have.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a
Have you
brilliant
ever heard the
conspiracy.
adrenochrome
No.
conspiracy?
It's real.
It's real,
But
they
to me,
reckon.
if they could suss adrenaline as a like, I mean they can obviously,
Yeah.
but like
The next level
as
up.
a recreational thing,
Yeah.
be kind of fun.
Give it a go.
Yeah.
What
You only
was-
live once, right?
Have you been starstruck yet? Have you gigged or have you met anyone through Flowidus or through your business venture? Because it sounds like that's going fucking gangbusters, where you've met somebody and
Well, it
gone,
might not after this podcast. There's I've been running this chat on this weekend. There's a few people that I would get starstruck about One would be I'd love to have a beer with Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, I need you, me, beer, pub now. And just chat.
Yeah.
Like, or Ryan Reynolds would be kind of cool.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
chat. I would love to meet Jeremy Piven just purely because of his Ari Gold character.
Mate, Buddha from the Grim Reapers, he had dinner across from him the other day.
Wow.
He was giving him the secret film. He was on a date.
So he's over.
He's in. He's just got back today, but he's been in LA for the last month.
Cool.
Just sort of networking, and
Very
he
cool.
met Theo Von and Shin from Fighter and the Kid, and he's done
Nice.
a bunch of networking, which is cool. Have you met anyone that you've been like, I'm stoked, or is it more just like gigging?
I remember actually, no, when I first met Andy C, I super fangirled there, but now it's kind of like, oh hey mate,
Yeah.
But not that I know him actually at all.
Yeah.
I don't know him, but I just like, oh yeah, it's just
Up here in the industry.
yeah, and which is, I mean, again, it's that kind of validation thing.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing to happen.
That was a bit of a mindfuck for me because I grew up like a straight A Eve. We'd go watch Andy C
all
with
the
all
time.
boys, and then
All
with
the
you guys,
time.
I was backstage and on stage, like behind Andy C, going, "What?
I
This is
remember-
because
yeah.
I networked."
It's just so much fun, that
Yeah.
Aussie Day thing. Still, every year you're just like, and the day is now.
Yeah. Sick.
But yeah, the starstruck thing, I don't know. I think it's also one of those things. It's kind of like I respect people. I love, Australia's got a mad tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
And you can't talk about your successes because people think you're an arrogant prick.
Yeah. You should be proud of you.
And there's a hell of a difference between arrogance and pride. If I've worked something for 5 years, I'm like, hey, you know what? Whatever, we've got our company. We've now just had a $300 million exit because of our doing.
Yeah. It's weird how if you
Fuck, that's
if you
pretty
say
cool,
the amount you make, people go, "Oh, that's
Ooh.
arrogance." But if you
I'm
go,
like,
"Oh, I was really successful," oh, that's good. But it's like, fuck it, bro. If I could turn $1,000 into $1 million, I'd be like, man, I just turned my grand into
and
$1
it's
million.
not. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I lost $1 million. Well, then you lost $1 million. But
Yeah.
if you say, oh, I made $1 million, you're like, ooh, you're a prick.
Yeah, it's
You need to
weird,
get
eh?
it. So that's a funny thing. But yeah, the starstruck thing. How did I get on the whole poppy? Can't remember.
Just about Andy C.
Oh, yeah. I remember I was fangirling there, and then I don't know. Like I never stop if I would see someone to go, oh, can I have a photo? I don't.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't get that.
I'm not ever going to look at a photo.
There's one person I did that with, and I would probably do it with maybe like Ariana Grande or Jennifer Love Hewitt, like some honey, right? But the one that I loved and I was stoked, Louis Theroux. I went to his show.
What?
My brother bought
He's
me.
cancelled now, isn't he?
No.
Sorry, no. I'm thinking of
No.
the ginger, the redhead cat.
CK.
CK.
Yeah, no, Louis Theroux's the
Yeah,
documentary.
he's great. He's brilliant.
So I went. My brother bought me because I fucking love him. I think he's on part with Sacha Baron. How he acts.
He would be an amazing
acts
conversation.
dumb.
Yeah.
To get people's prejudices out. Like Louis knows exactly what he's doing, you know. And so does Sacha. But
Sasha's
so
intelligent, like
so funny, so smart,
so smart. That Ali G show. Sorry to
the
interrupt.
best.
I watched like years ago. I watched it and it was like, you know, it's old when it's like just square.
Yeah,
when
and
not
it's still
16 by
relevant.
9. And you're like, holy shit, you can't run that anymore.
Yeah.
It's so good.
If you haven't seen it, YouTube Ali G and drugs, and he's like going, "Oh, what's this?" And the guy's like, "Oh, this is cocaine." He's like, how much is that? He goes, 100 pounds. He goes, psh, ripped off. I can get it for 40.
Yeah,
Like, he's doing. He goes, so what happens if you take MDMA? And he's like, you feel elated, you want to dance. He goes, okay, so what are the bad reasons?
Yeah. Oh, I remember that one.
So,
The feminist one. And
bro.
Jesus. It's just so good.
One of my favorite ones that I quote all the time is when he goes to America and he talks to the FBI, and the FBI agent, he's like, so when is it okay to kill somebody? He goes, well, it's never okay, but like, let's say I come home and you're in bed with my wife. He's like, I would never do that. He goes, hypothetically, he's like, you're in bed with my wife. He's like, listen, man, I would never do that to you, man. He's like, no. We're going to imagine you're in bed with my wife and I pull out my gun. He goes, and I shoot you. He's like, I shoot you first. And it's just that little, I shoot you first, is the fucking funniest little comeback. So now if anyone's like, oh, fucking shoot him, I'll be like, I'll shoot you first. It's the best, man. Or when he's like, let's say I buy some bootleg copies of merchandise. He's like, oh, do you want to talk about this off camera?
Yeah.
Like, just so clever.
It's so clever.
Yeah.
So clever.
I got to see, were you on the lounge when he came in?
Yeah, I texted for him.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Because he's married to
Yeah, Melissa George. Is Melissa George? No, or the other one.
Yeah, she's from MLC, and she's a Perth girl.
Yeah.
And one of my mates actually, I think his cousin's friends with her. And he's posted up a photo. And I was like, what are we looking at? And it's just like a family photo. And I was like, holy shit, Sasha's in there, just in the back. And yeah, he just got up to
It was a secret show at the lounge.
Yeah,
Rove
it
brought
was.
him over.
Had non-disclosure agreements. He was going to use my phone, man. on the final thing to do a presentation. It was so funny.
Sick.
It was a manifested moment because my friend loved Eric Andre. I don't know if you've seen him. And Eric used his phone. Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah.
Used his phone, and I was like, "Fuck! I want like someone like Sacha Baron Cohen to use my phone once."
dope.
And then I was literally in that moment, and the road engineer's like, "So can you use your phone?" And I was like, "Fucking yes, of course you can." use it." Yeah,
Because we had to put our phones in the cases and lock.
I was going to say,
because he did Bruno the night that I was
So
there.
good.
Did he do Bruno every night?
yeah, he did Bruno, and for the last one, he was gonna do what's his name, the Middle Eastern character.
Borat.
That's it. So.
Yeah, but he's it leaked to. I was talking to Rove at a gig I did with Rove, and he was like, "Yeah, we had to like."
As in McManus?
Yeah, because he's mates, and that's why he came over. So he was
cool.
like, "Yeah, you know, we were gonna do the last character, but it just got out of hand, so we had to scrap that." But I got to see him, and having him stand next to me I was fucking fangirling, bro. See, he's so big.
He's tall, isn't he? He's like tall and lanky.
Lanky, but dressed in the sluttiest little Bruno outfit, bro.
It's crazy.
It was but it was great seeing him live because with the edits, right, you never see him break character.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get that little hint, but live on stage, you'd see him break character. And I frothed when you can see the real person come through.
Yeah.
It was
cool.
fucking magic, man.
That's very cool.
Yeah, he definitely did some shit that would have been cancelled. Like, he
Sure.
got a guy to come up and like get naked and like all sorts. Yeah, it wasn't.
It's like the roast. Remember the roast from back in the day?
Yeah.
And some of the jokes, and you just see how like societies change. I'm like, I find it hilarious
Still
because
funny.
I'm not politically correct in any way. Probably like the opposite, but
Yeah.
like it's so funny. But you can't say certain things because it's just taken out of
out of context. I love the idea though of handing our phones in because it means everyone's present.
So
Everyone that has to be there. I think they should do that to almost any comedy show. Just hand your phone in and you get it back. That's what they did when we filmed the footy. I went to the footy
how did
show.
they like know which one belongs? It's
So
like
you get a case.
iPhone, like
You get a case. It goes into
number.
this like metallic case.
it's like,
Get a ticket. Yeah.
All
Bang,
right.
bang, bang, bang. And then you go back and get it. Best idea ever.
so Chase. I don't know if you know these producers called Chase and Status.
Yeah, Chase and Status, yeah.
So they, again, the biggest dons in the electronic music scene and the whole kind of drum and bass culture. They released an album the other week called What Came Before. So last year, the year before, they did Return to Jungle. So it was kind of like an ode to jungle music. And now it's like an ode
That's
to
cultural
what came
appropriation,
before.
isn't it?
Yeah. And an ode to what came before, which is like rave music. So
Yeah.
they've been holding No Phones raves.
Sick.
And their album cover is a No Phones rave of, whatever, a snippet of the audience.
Yeah.
And it's just all like
Frothing.
no
one's up.
No
with
one's
their phone
up. And it's true because like I do it for like Instagram stories. Yep. So I was like, I'm here for under Flowidus. But I remember I was at Tomorrowland as a punter 2018. It was like closing set off the main stage, 80,000 people, like the most insane audio visual, like firework, like just the stage is twisted.
Yeah.
And there was this girl next to me with a battery charger and one of the like sticks just filming the whole thing. Munted off her face, but just...
Are you going to go back and watch that?
Like
No.
literally the whole thing. I'm like,
Why?
I don't understand what you're doing.
You can look on YouTube. People will post proper
like there's a
edited of
high
tomorrow.
quality video that gets released like the week after.
Yeah. I was with my mates who all have kids, and like I'm the only one without kids. We went out for a night out, and then we came back, and they just played Tomorrowland off YouTube. Wasn't theirs, and they were all just raving 2 a.m, and I'm sitting on the couch like the least fucked out of all of them. I'm like, this is what happens when you have kids. But it was beautiful because no one had their phones. I had my phone filming them.
Yeah, taking the
But
piss,
like they didn't have to look at the Tomorrowland footage that they filmed. They just put on a YouTube
I don't know.
clip and we're vibing.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tomorrowland, like lots of shit goes on there. We will finish on maybe like I want to hear your most whack or biggest breakthrough or biggest trippy story that you have. It could either be shrooms or DMT or acid, just to finish on a little high,
just
part of the pun, and then we got to drop Jamal at work.
The funniest party, or shall we say bender, we've had was in New Zealand in 2019. It's actually where Stian met Aya.
Yeah. Stian's Mac Shane.
Yeah.
Guys. Yeah.
It's like Stain. With the Stian. Yeah.
It's a dyslexic
He's a stain on my existence anyway. Nah. And he, so yeah, we came in on a Friday, Jeff had 2 gigs in Auckland. So went on the Friday, went to the gig, got on it at the gig, just partied on, went to an afters party in it's just an apartment, and wherever Stian goes, there's always rapping will ensue.
Yeah.
And
his name in the group chat's, you give me a topic, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And granted, he is a very above average freestyle rapper. And so yeah, there's like a little rap circle going on, and Jeff like fucks about and Raph fucks about.
Jeff's not a bad freestyler. Yeah.
And I was like, man, I can't rap. I don't know how to do it. And there was a bunch of other people, and like the night kept going, and it was like 6 a.m. And then I just started, and then like
rapping or started drugs?
No, it started rapping. Yeah. And I turned into do you guys know do you know who Dirty Dyke is?
Nah.
Yeah.
He's like this insanely funny, twistedly vile English rapper. Like boom bap rapper, but mad lyricist. All these English rappers are just mental. And I just was like this vile, like nothing can ever be repeated, because I just found it so funny to just be. But I wouldn't stop, so I didn't stop for 48 hours rapping. So we were like,
you got from never rapping.
Yeah, so we went rapping in this like rap circle. It was like 9 a.m. and we're like, well, everyone's still pretty awake, so we go to see if there's a bar open. Go to the bar, and then at like midday, Jeff's like, well, it's officially a bender. So we just kept going. Then went to like another gig, kept going, and then it ended up we had like to move hotel rooms or like apartments, and we just stayed in. One of the artists was booked for an extra night, but he didn't say, so we just went in his room, and it was just like a 1-bedroom room. So
the drummer's dream.
Jeff was on the bed. I was on the bed with Jeff, and Raph and Steen were on the floor, and we were just rapping. Raph and I would just go in on each other for like 2 hours in the most obscene, like just such terrible things were said about each other's loved ones, and it just wouldn't stop. And then, so we just kept going for like 48 hours. And then that Sunday we had to drive back down to Raglan, and on the drive, everyone was so brain dead, but I couldn't stop rapping. So everything, you could hear me try and like come up with rhymes and like just whatever I would see. And it got to the point where everyone was like, shut the fuck up. Like, and it was one of the funniest, still like the best like 2 days I've had out partying with my mates. And it was just hilarious. Like we still talk about this bender.
Was it like, you know, the old wives' tale where people go, he thought he was a glass of orange juice and he's trapped like that?
Pretty much,
you were just like, trapped in that frame of mind.
I was trapped as a English like gutter rapper,
trap rap.
Yeah, and it was just utter nonsense shit, and and then from there that was kind of the thing, and then I just was kind of every time we would rap at like whatever, got all these it's just like I got so it was fine when me and Steen were in the room, but when someone else came in, they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, it just got to that. So that was probably the wildest one, or like the funniest one that we still talk about.
Yeah. What about the well? You got a little thing on your tooth there.
A bit of peanut.
Yeah.
The well.
Were you there at the well?
No, I was, I think, in New Zealand or in somewhere.
Were you in Wellington?
Yeah, Wellington. Yeah. So a kick on at Stian's, which is somewhat regular.
Yeah.
And they have this well.
Got a well at the front, man.
And someone decided to open it at like 6:30 a.m. and it's like 10 to 12 meters deep. And
it's like the Ring.
It's
Yeah.
So
and they were on shrooms and went down it. It was I want to get a photo of this.
It went down
well.
Yeah.
Speaking of went down well, we better wrap that up. Thanks
That
for
was
jumping
awesome.
on.
Thanks for breaking my podcast cherry.
Oh, it's your first one
Yeah,
ever?
it is,
Yeah,
isn't it?
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. So that's Flowidus. You can hear all his music on, he's half of Flowidus. All the music is on Spotify, iTunes, or just Spotify, YouTube.
Spotify, wherever you stream music, you know, all that. casual
Next
stuff.
gig, if people want to check you out.
I think we're doing something in Sydney. Then we're doing something in Europe in September.
Sick.
And
Any
then,
perk gigs? We've got listeners all over. Austria?
Yeah. I think we're playing at Liquid Candy Festival in Perth.
Is that happening or what?
Don't know. Oh yeah. Well, if it happens,
If it happens,
yeah,
we'll be there.
yeah. It's an
And if
interesting
anyone's
one.
got any liquid candy, message the Hard Yarns podcast and I'll enjoy it with you. That's time. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me, dude.
Share bolt.
Bye bye.